Futures clawing their way back to the upside here this morning as we get going on an important Tuesday. Welcome into CPI day. We'll get the December reading on inflation coming up at 8:30 this morning. ADP number before that at 8:15. That's a weekly ADP print this morning. Could have some implications for the overall market as well. As we kick off earnings season, also banks coming through starting today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll get all of the big banks all in one group. For the first time in a while. JP Morgan absolutely crushing it this morning, right across the board, basically record numbers wherever you look for JP Morgan. Not really doing a heck of a lot, though, as far as price action is concerned. A little bit choppy to start things off, as is the overall market. That's how things are setting up right now for the S&P. Basically where we went out after the close yesterday. A lot of economists pointing to the possibility here that this CPI print this morning could be a little bit of an uptick once again, which could bring back in that Fed conversation. Still lots of question marks around how that's going to play out over the coming days and weeks here with this Powell probe still up in the air. There was a lot of people on the Republican side of the aisle yesterday with pretty strong opinions, I think, against this. Yep. Suggesting that the market is definitely wanting independence for the Fed.
No surprise, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, among the names that you're alluding to, Brendo. It's really gonna end up being this way. There's gonna be the old group who kind of wants to insist on Fed independence. We'll have to see how it all turns out. There's a whole lot to talk about today, guys. L3 Harris here up big to start the morning on $1 billion contract from the Pentagon, up over 11%. Intel and AMD also up sharply this morning. They both got the nod from KeyBank Capital. Intel about 3.5, 2 and a third for AMD. Kind of a different look for ARM, Brendo. They're down about over 2% on the back of smartphone weakness. We've been talking a lot about this. These chip makers are really focusing the majority of their inventory for AI as opposed to handsets. So some possible weakness in that group.
Yeah, outside of tech, Delta moving around here this morning as well on the back of their earnings report. Pretty good numbers for Delta, the forecast as well. Stronger than expected. But I think the question mark here came with how they expect some of these gains to come, because I mean, you and I have talked about this in the past. They pointed straight at the front end of the plane.
Exactly.
And said, this is where everything is going to come from going forward, which actually puts a lot of question marks around, the economy class and the people who are buying the economy class, suggesting that it's that end of the economy that's still struggling, and the business class.
The K-shaped economy that we keep talking about. Yeah. But Brendo, I was watching a little bit of a micro documentary. It was about American Airlines, but it still rings true. They want half the plane to be premium, and they want the other half to be economy. And here's why. For the same flight, it was a $4,500 6-hour flight, 6-hour haul. I think it was Philly to London or something like that. $4,500. That equivalent ticket in economy was 500 and change. So do the math there.
Unreal. I was noticing, I was reading a note on the weekend actually about this, but I was noticing some of in Canada, we have, 2 major airlines, I guess it is, a duopoly of some sort. Air Canada, however, came out with their new seating map for, it's not the biggest plane they have. It's the 787, which is, I think, like the medium size, wide body still, but still the medium size. And it was the same. It was 50% premium and then 50% economy. So I think more and more.
That's where they make money.
Airlines going that
That's where they make money.
Yeah. So we'll watch Delta. It's down here this morning, but trying to get a bounce right now. Not a heck of a lot of volume behind that, but focus on the banks, focus on JP Morgan specifically, guys. Pretty impressive here right across the board. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always impressive with JPM earnings, though. What's not impressive is the amount that the stock moves. I just feel like that's always the case. I mean, it's up, less than 0.5%. I mean, it kind of just jumps around on any single print here. But when you get that big of a beat, we're never really shocked by how big the moves are, or how big the beats are, I should say, and how big the numbers end up being. And usually you get Jamie Dimon with a cautious tone. He likes where the economy's at. He says maybe there's some underestimating of some geopolitical risk going on for the overall economy, but ultimately kind of slow action for now with JPM. I think the rest of the banks, the rest of this week, like Wells and Citi, probably going to offer a little more in terms of volatility. I'm willing to bet off of their earnings, but for now, I mean, like, they're not down 5%, right? So it's not like it's getting sold off, which I think is obviously going to be a good sign in there. But the big movers, I mean, some of the big movers right now, you're looking at AMD and Intel on a KeyBank upgrade. Those have to be in watch. I think you guys mentioned Boeing. Delta with a Boeing order. Boeing had a big day yesterday. A little continuation action potentially here today. So the market's relatively flat, slightly to the downside. And then JP Morgan didn't really do much for us. Like, JP Morgan's action after earnings was about as lively as the Steelers' offense last night.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be a little bit of a funny game there yesterday. Yeah, not much going on right there. The Houston defense, we knew it was going to shut them down. I mean, Stroud played like garbage. The guy has 3 picks in the first half, and this was still winning.
Well, the fumbles was crazy.
The turnovers. Sorry, not just the picks.
He was crazy.
But yeah, I'm still bitter. Jordan Love goes for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and loses the game. Third time in history that's happened, something like that. Okay, so yeah, JP Morgan, good day today. We'll see if they can hold the bid. Pretty tough to trade it on earnings day. We'll have to hear what the conference call has to say. But yeah, double beat both and top and bottom line. Just 103 billion forward guide for net interest income. Like, crazy how much money these guys continue to make. So we like that stock. Yeah, a lot of good names to look at today. I mean, Bitcoin's back to 92,000. We'll have a check there. The market's going to open up relatively flat, right? ES down 0.1, Nasdaq down 0.2. So we'll see if something goes on there. The CPI print that Brendan and Shreve had alluded to should be somewhat interesting here. Nvidia not moving around too much. Nice move down yesterday into the afternoon print, and flat, completely flat now on the day, 0.3. So I think we are data dependent. And of course, if we're going to talk about sports, we have to talk about the Maple Leafs, who are now undefeated in their last 10 games, 8-0-2, and just beat the #1 team in the league in their barn in Colorado. So, and here I am last night watching a little bit of the game and buying my daughter another stick online. So you know how that all goes. So that's fun. Yeah, Bauer had their Twitches on sale, from 300 down to 200, So
I mean,
got to buy it,
of course you have. Deal's a deal, man.
That's the worst part for me is I don't buy anything, but if it's on sale, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. It's like so stupid. But anyways,
you have to look at it this way. Like, you're going to buy a new one probably at some point anyway. So when there is
a She doesn't really need one, but it's just a little bit of a higher flex. So hopefully she can get more goals. That's the thing about all this equipment, man. It's like all these baseball bats everybody buys. Like on our team, it's like these kids that can't even hit. Like they're coming up with literally $500 bats, and then they're getting like another one the next week, and it's just like it's so ridiculous the equipment, how much these things cost these days. But it's because it's stuff that they're made from. Like these sticks are so light, and everything is
such huge business now.
Maple Leafs winning is crazy. Yeah, 8-0-2 in their last 10 games.
The city would go nuts. But we'll see. We have a long way.
You know what I was thinking about this?
Still a long way to go.
I've had a really bad year sports-wise, okay? Because think about all the heartbreak that there's been here, okay? So the 3 major teams for me, and you can include you in this too because the Bills, okay? So we had the Blue Jays. What's the worst way to lose? Okay, so we had the Blue Jays lose the World Series in Game 7, but the thing about that loss was at least it was back and forth.
It was one of the greatest.
Right, so it was like you're watching the game. We could win, we could lose. We had about 5 straight times where we should have won.
It was amazing.
And so that was good. And then we had the Maple Leafs lose in Game 7 where they didn't even show up against Florida Panthers. They lost like 6-0 or something.
That was brutal.
Right, so that was like, okay, so you're watching it, you're so excited about it, but right from the first period, it's over with. Yeah. So you rip the Band-Aid off early, and then the Packers, completely opposite style, where they had a 98% chance of winning with 4 minutes left and still lost. So I was wondering what the worst way of losing was. A back and forth, push and pull game in Game 7 of the World Series. That kind of hurt, but the good thing is we made it at least. And you enjoyed the run, and you had a great game other than the very last play.
I'm biased because that was like one of the single greatest sporting experiences of my life. So it's hard. Is the Bills?
That's what I'm saying. Way to lose is okay that way.
The Bills fan, when you choke, or choke's the wrong word, but when you feel like the Packers, here's the best way to explain it. If that game gets played 10 times, the quality of the way people play, let's just put the quality of the way people played that game repeats itself, and you have like the minor bounces here or there. I think it's like 7 or 8 at a time. 7 or 8 out of 10, the Packers would win that game. Okay. Just based on the talent was at the field and the way they schemed it and all that kind of stuff. It just all of the single plays broke the Bears' way.
So which way do you think is the, like for me, the biggest heartbreak of all of those ways of losing is the Blue Jays because of how close they were.
See, I can't.
The heartbreak. I'm saying, because when you're watching the Leafs and they just don't, okay, if the Blue Jays were down 8-0 after 3 innings in Game 7, it would have been like, okay, whatever.
I actually disagree. I actually disagree. And the funny thing is, I would have felt that way if not for how unbelievable the experience was. Like, I came away from that game thinking I should be feeling dejected right now, but I was on a high of, I cannot believe how great this team played. The unbelievable, like, they played out of their minds. And once you realize that, it's like, what are you supposed to do?
But to me, that's but that's why it's the hardest to lose, because at least like the Maple Leafs didn't show up, they didn't deserve to win. The Packers completely blew it.
If I was a player, I might agree with that.
Yeah.
As a fan, seeing boys play that hard, I'm like, that makes up. I can't feel bad.
Also, I think the Blue Jays is the worst because it is the World Series, right? It's like, it's such heartbreak. Like, you go from basically heroes to just another mark in the record books, right? Like, at least the Packers.
That's all the teams.
No, but I'm saying no, not really, because sometimes you go to the World Series and you get swept or you lose 3-1 or whatever. The Blue Jays were the underdogs heading into that.
Exactly.
They played amazing and still should have won but didn't win. To me, that's the biggest heartbreak easily. It's like, I wasn't that upset at the Maple Leafs. They just didn't play that well. And then the Packers just kicks you in the face and it's over with. The Blue Jays is like pulling at your heartstrings the whole game, which makes sports exciting. And I mean,
that's what's so much fun about it.
That's the whole point about it. But it was, what an interesting year around here for sports-wise. So it's
get the potassium, they say in the chat.
Yeah,
it's one of those. It's just a staple. You got to eat your fruits and vegetables. I got my. Well, I haven't even eaten the brunch.
Neil likes them a little bit more ripe.
I do like the bananas ripe, so I'm eating the one from the day before. We had this like, what's the name for this? It's like
shakshuka or whatever.
Shakshuka? Okay.
Shakshuka. Shack West.
Yeah. It's like egg, a little bit of like salsa, tomato sauce. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good there. Good breakfast. They've now got the message, and there's no more, peanut butter and jam or waffles or pancakes. Or Sharif got the guy in a headlock one day. It's never returned.
Elbow drop.
Yeah. Sharif saw the guy and was just like, I went back there and he like had the guy in like a headlock. And I was like, this is too much.
On that convinced him to stop bringing carbs. It was after the conversation you had with him, Sean, that all of a sudden the protein started showing up en masse. And more thankful to you, I could not be, of course.
Just doing boss-like things, you know? But no, Sharif really had the guy in that. No. Okay, so anyways, we had, look, I want to thank everybody for yesterday, man. And Joe and I went back and forth a little bit last night, and we had a bunch of fun, right? I mean, that was a lot of fun, giving Obi the gears for his illegal picks, and then going back and forth with Joe about his Rich Tech robotic and things like that, and some of the good talk.
Wait till Sidhu has an offering.
Until we had some fun there. So thanks everybody for watching yesterday. That was a lot of fun. So we had a great time there, and we'll keep talking about it. We'll show you guys the picks. I believe Adara had done something. Actually, I forgot to retweet if she got that out. So I'm going to double check and retweet that out. And you kind of can see all of our picks. But that was a lot of fun. We'll update them maybe monthly or whatever, and it's daily on the screen there with our system. But it's 8:30, right? We have the numbers coming out. So join us for that. Don't leave us, that's for sure. 325 right now for JP Morgan. Nothing's really going on here in the bank side of things. I just see gold trying to go upside right now a little bit ahead of the economic numbers, CPI. The exact look for this at 8:30. Well, there's a whole bunch. CPI year over year 2.7 expected versus 2.6. So as Brendan said, we look for a little bit of a hotter print coming through. I thought silver was up a lot more than gold today. Hold on a second. Gold up 1/4 point, silver up. Yeah, so there it goes, man. Silver kicking it again one more time. So there it goes upside. Thank you, Randy, for the banana. And I think we're getting another hookup right here as well. Randy, the weather's getting pretty nice outside. I don't. Do you still got snow up in your? Oh yeah.
Not
Okay.
gonna last.
Because it was like 4 or 5 degrees here on the weekend. I feel like. It's tropical. Did you guys get warm or no? You did. But
I know you didn't just say shorts weather. Randy just said it's shorts weather. It's not.
there was a guy at our hockey that was talking about wearing shorts. So you're not alone. That's for sure. All right. Oh yeah, that's right. We're covering. I like to see that the mic kind of looks cool there.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
I
Let's
know,
go up
that's
to the
why
desk.
it's a
We do have, I
fake
believe,
prop.
the first number of the day just dropped.
You did?
Small one.
ADP, the employment change on the weekly basis. This is not updating in front of me yet, but as you said, the time would indicate that this should be out already. So 11.5, I don't know, are you seeing that anywhere? 11.5 thousand, this site is not updating in front of me, guys. So 11.5 thousand is expected. Again, this is just the weekly ADP number, so nothing significant. Shouldn't move the market anyways, but I'll throw it up on screen whenever it comes out. There's, again, the big numbers, core inflation, CPI, month over month, all coming at 8:30. We get new home sales at 10 a.m. this morning as well. There's some Fed speak later on in the afternoon as well, but just awaiting this weekly number, guys.
Yeah, here it's
Right back to us. Okay. Yeah, we're nothing
Always got to
happened.
catch me finishing.
I was actually eating part of the banana. People are like, "Oh, you guys got to eat the banana." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll eat the banana."
No, the reaction here really is, I'd say it's a continuation in the metals right now, because a bit of a reversal, breaking up 52-week highs on SLV. This is the funny thing about this stock is like most of the days in here are actually inside days. Like you're getting really good gaps, and you're not really having too big of an intraday range, or at least not bigger than like the norm. Like you're essentially, if you get $2 or $3 out of a silver on the day, that's pretty much been it every single time. So there we go, the actual ADP employment change. It's weekly, so 11.75 versus 11.5 previous. The Nasdaq literally did not move on that. The ES absolutely not moving. We're still chilling at where we were before. It really is just silver breaking another all-time high. It's always the same thing. When I'm looking for that support, if we end up with an inside day, then I got to move up instead of 76, at least for now, maybe look at the 77 or just the prior day high bounce play. Because you essentially with this, you get the one dip, and then there's your long move. And it's like you try to scalp as many times as you can inside of that range to take the move. Maybe you get one more dip buy, but that's all you can ask for. This is actually moving. Not a single stock that I was watching outside of SLV here did much on that ADP, but this was already going.
Yeah, so silver can go based on obviously a weaker U.S. dollar. So as the U.S. dollar continues to kind of hover here, it just creates an easier cost to borrow. It's cheaper to hold the U.S. dollar, silver, if the U.S. dollar continues to go a little bit lower, priced in U.S. dollars. But the carry trade potentially here for a lower rate environment, right? I mean, silver and gold, if the rates can remain low, again, it's cheaper to borrow to get into margin plays with a silver, with a gold. So as we continue to see a little bit of a weaker dollar, that should help the silver trade. And then, talk of basically no cut. I mean, yesterday we were at 90, I don't know, what is it, 94% or something? Yeah, there it is, 95% chance of no rate cut. So, an environment of steadiness helps. If this was potential for a cut, you could see more money going into equities rather than metals, precious metals. Industrial still does, silver still does have industrial uses, obviously, as we continue to watch out for the, the build outs that's happening in the data centers and whatnot. And it's why, well, you chose FCX, but it's a good idea, to also look at a copper and things like that as, we continue to use copper wiring for the home buildings and then the data center build outs, connecting everything all together there, the EVs. So there are lots of base use cases for some of these metals, including the silver and the copper trade, as we had just mentioned. So, yeah, so they continue to go one way. It seems like only up these days. I mean, copper's been an absolute beast, man. Like maybe 10 red days in the last 20 in the last 30, it looks like there for copper. So straight straight up. Nothing's really hitting on the scanner right now. I mean, Data Vault, wow, I can't believe this DVLT is now under $1.
Crazy.
Or can I?
Well, I mean, I think we can.
Yeah, like we sat here and said this $1.50 on this name for weeks. That was a great out for anybody that was able to get that. And you know, now that it's all the way back under here, that rate there, like, you know what? I should have just chose this as one of my shorts. Like that was boom right into there, $1.50. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to be a short now, but all the way back in right there. So yeah, nice move there for Data Vault today. Just trying to see, like, it's done 2 million shares and nothing's really hitting on the hot list right now. Everyone going to be waiting for the CPI inflation print coming through. It's Nvidia, Tesla, DVLT, Palantir 180. Like there's nothing really kicking right now. So yeah, we'll wait for it, guys. 10 minutes to go, Brendan, and before we get this number. So all is quiet on the stock front for now. Even the bank stocks not really moving around.
Kind of normal. I think the other banks, I think, will be a little bit more exciting than JPM. But there, I mean, RCAT's moving around a little bit here, 5%. Kind of has an interesting high up here, like 1275. I'm guessing Sharif with the bang is interested in looking at that one in the small cappers. No, I mean, the top of the list when I look at the visualizer is going to be AMD, RCAT, ABAT. So there will be more as the market starts to heat up. And one of the places you can find things that move is by looking at options activity, Joe.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. A lot going on in the options world once again, and we're seeing some increase in activity. So let's get right into things. Mind you, strike price is slightly mixed up, but that's all right. We'll be able to navigate this. Guys, Walmart at that $120 strike price, we're sitting at volume around 15,800 contracts and open interest around 15,900. Now, that is going to be expiring this Friday. Now, as for Alibaba, guys, at that $170 strike price, that is correct. There's substantial activity, 38,600 contracts being traded at that specific level, with open interest still sitting around 22,300. Once again, this is going to be on this Friday's expiration cycle. Now, as for the Nasdaq, guys, at that $630 mark, volume once again in the index pretty high, 88,300 contracts traded at that specific level, with open interest still currently sitting at 14,600. Once again, this Friday's expiration cycle. That is some of the outstanding options activity across the board. But something that hit once again a new all-time high, that is going to be SLV Silver at that $80 mark. I wouldn't be surprised if we do run into that by the end of next week, or maybe even this week. All right, guys, open interest substantial around 32,600. There's multiple ways that we can look at this potential supply zone, but the way that it's currently moving, I wouldn't be surprised if that is absorbed. Now, as for the volume, 18,800, and that is going to be expiring this Friday. And you can see that the bid and ask is relatively tight, guys. Only $1 spread. That's not bad whatsoever, plus your commissions if you are going to be purchasing the contract. Now, as for your delta exposure, 0.367, so every $1 change in silver, you're going to see this contract's value change $36. And then with the gamma as well, you're going to see an increase of approximately $5.50. The at-the-money IV for silver is relatively high, around 84.2%. But something that I want to bring up once again, relatively interesting, and this is the actual call chart. And what we have here is you can see that we were touching all-time highs. We did slightly pull back off of it this morning and yesterday throughout the session, but with a high of around $2.64 last week. This contract was destroyed by Theta, with down 41.8% off of that previous pivot high. Now, if you have the ability to get out at the peaks before the expiration cycle, that's when you're going to be able to lock in maximum amount of gains. Now, as for the options activity, everything's looking pretty good so far today. We'll be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades.
Yes, thank you, Joe. One of those names, I know the strikes mixed up a little bit, but Walmart 120 seems like it's incoming. I mean, the list of names, excuse me, the list of names that keep making these fresh highs, like Alphabet, another all-time high, but Walmart very quietly, well, maybe not that quietly. I think it's pretty quietly breaking out here again, and you know, ultimately, this is. I feel like it's kind of a boring stock that does incredibly well. There was a good long opportunity for this yesterday when it did this. but ultimately, I think it's a consolidation type of situation here. You might have the gap up, and then we can go sideways, but it's hard to ignore the line of resistance pre-market 1, 2, 3, 4 times just underneath $119 there for Walmart. So this is one that might go sideways for a bit and then potentially break out. But it seems like a pretty clean shot to be able to get to that 120 if it does. So Walmart got to be on radars. I mean, it's definitely an amazing stock, great company as well. Nick Dubbs, super chat. I am also very bullish on CRISPR. Could you elaborate on why you chose it for your tube top? It's so good, you got to put 2 O's in there at 3 stocks. So ultimately, it was actually number 4 or 5 on my list, and then I just didn't want to copy with Boeing. And I'll keep that real. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. But I had a bunch of names on my list that I like. Look, I think they're in a space where they're finally going a little bit toward actual like commercial production and not just this is a concept that might eventually make money. But most of it was technical. In terms of looking for like what has explosive upside because they're turning a corner and getting to the point where you're going to actually potentially see real revenues this year and possibly 2027. But it comes down to when I looked at this chart, just from the weekly in particular, and this is what I went over, the fact that we're reholding the 50 and kind of bouncing the 200, and you have that flattening 200 after a long consolidation. Like I feel like an inside move that bounces can get 55, 60 into this 80, 90 area. And if you actually get a breakout through that resistance, which has been there since 2024, I think you have explosive upside. So this was as much of the, and I also mentioned the lit grab under 40, and then, you know, to me, you hold that low for so long, lit grab it and immediately start making higher lows. And again, the flattening and now trending up of the major moving averages on that high of a time frame, the weekly, I just like that setup. Technically as well. Another super chat here. Gary, retired. Enjoy your retirement, Gary. Thoughts on buying SoftX into earnings when SoFi below 27.50? SoFi doesn't report for a while though. I don't know off the top of
You know, it's well after the banks.
It's
probably
a while. I think it's
in
at least
2
a month
weeks.
and a half, maybe. Let's see.
I have it here.
You have it faster than I do.
I do. It's, yeah, they're saying in here, oh no, the 30th.
Oh, January?
Yeah, January
Okay.
30th. So yeah, 2 weeks.
Oh, it's only 2. Okay, wait a minute. SoFi only reports in 2 weeks?
Yeah, 17 days.
Yeah, I don't like playing any like the leverage plays, to be perfectly honest with you. You don't have to worry as much about decay, but SoFi is a wait and see. My approach for this entire pullback on SoFi was sort of thinking that it would pull back into the 200 period moving average. And I think they have turned the corner. Why I think this earnings matters more is mostly because I think they're going into the S&P 500 this year. And therefore, that's where the focus is going to be. The reaction to the stock on earnings has been usually disappointing. Like it's fading gaps. Even if you go 10% on a beat, you end up pulling back anyways. But I don't think that's the focus. As long as they can maintain profitability throughout this year, I think you're going to get into the S&P 500, and then that's going to be the catalyst for the year. So I'm more inclined to be buying dips into support and playing off of those earnings reactions to the downside. Rather than making a bet that it goes up from here. I'm more of a dip buyer on SoFi, and then as those odds maybe increase, I think it's sitting at around 30-something% in the betting markets that these guys get added this year. So that's still, it's still being priced as a decent enough. It's not a long shot or anything, but it's still not either a certainty. So I think you can still make that bet, but I'm a dip buyer on SoFi. I just feel like the trend is slowed down heavily here.
Here we go, man. 1 minute to go. We'll go back over the desk. We do have U.S. CPI year over year, month over month. They're all going to start to float out here in 1 minute. You know, obviously, a hotter reading will be negative for some of those tech stocks. And if we came in as expected, I think we go as per normal with kind of flattish to no reaction. So we'll see 2.6 or so expected on the year over year. And if it comes in a lot hotter, higher than expected, look for defense stocks, energy, things like that to start to pop off one more time as, you know, we'll have to start talking about interest rate hikes and cuts. So let's see. This is a big, big gauge. Let's go back over the desk. 20 seconds away, and then we'll see the market impact.
We are getting to a point where it's, 0.1 up, 0.1 down. Seems like that's the norm at this point, month over month. But yeah, here's what we're expecting right now. Forecast right now, the headline number 2.6%, consensus 2.7% on that, and then down here, inflation rate overall 2.7, exactly the same. Month over month forecast to head to the north side by 0.2%. 0.3 is the month over month number here, so 0.3 to the upside, so a little bit worse than expected. Overall, the headline number exactly in line with expectations, 2.6%. Inflation rate year over year, 2.7%. Again, the month over month number, there it is, finally populating, 0.3%. So the expectation there was 0.2%, comes out a little tiny bit hotter. Overall, though, guys, pretty much in line with expectations right across the board. Market liking this. To the upside we go.
Yeah, you always fear that it's a lot worse than expected or just different, right? I mean, it's the fact that it comes out as expected means the market can now sort of resume its regularly scheduled programming, which right there is a quite nice move higher right there. And as we said, as the market goes, we'll see, big stocks like NVIDIA go upside again. That's 185 to 185.50 right there. It's starting to go. Tesla's probably starting to go as well here. As there it goes, man. I mean, that's great. CPI right there, a little lower month over month, 0.2 versus 0.3 U.S. core CPI. So kicking out just a little bit higher there. I don't expect, I mean, we had a 95% chance of a no rate hike or cut at all. So no movement in the rate. And this basically solidifies it as these expected numbers coming out as expected. If anything, just a little slightly lower there, 0.2 versus 0.3. But that's what I'm seeing. And it doesn't seem like we're doing too much. Inline, CPI inline, and core CPI slightly softer. So that's what we're seeing right now. And yeah, boom goes the dynamite a little bit here. It doesn't look like Tesla's doing a whole heck of a lot. I would assume maybe Google would continue its upside glide a little bit, 335.
Intel's not 4%.
Intel was
Nvidia went green as well. So
okay, so there we go, man. I was waiting to write down something for the futures. I think now we can wait to go long. As yeah, there's Intel again, another one. Intel was the #1 trade for me yesterday. Was a big P&L day for me yesterday on Intel. We were going short yesterday on Intel and smoked it. And today, what a difference a day makes, man. We put on the bid here. So we'll have to wait to see if we can get a lower bid here for Intel. But yeah, nice number.
yeah, and silver also making some fresh highs there. So I mean, most things got a pop. I mean, the ES went to green, the Nasdaq went to green, basically a 0.5% move, right? We were never more than a quarter down, and now we're about a quarter up. But what happened in Bitcoin was at least a little bit interesting because there was an instant retracement as it just got bought right back up. Maybe you can see that on a 1. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, there was a pullback to right where it was before, and then we just came right back in. So the first thing that happened was when it attempted to sell back, they just bought it right back up in front of 92. So we're through yesterday's tops. Does look a bit bullish. We'll caution, these are mostly inline numbers, and we have seen when we get these 830 moves, typically there is some kind of a pullback. Not always does it completely reverse and pull the rug on everybody, but very rarely does it just trend up, be at the highs at the open, and then continue higher when we get an 830 number. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. But so far, so good. I mean, there's nothing not to like here. Let's just see how we react to a dip. And maybe look at how stocks or individual names compare when they pull back into prior highs. At least for Intel, that'll be the thought. Because, 45 and the prior high is not going to be a thing right now when you've just broken out the top. So I start thinking of VWAP, which doesn't matter as much at this time, and then pre-market lows, our breakout price at 830, which is 45.6 in here. How are we going to be able to handle that bit of a dip? So there is still some names to get to in terms of earnings. We already talked about JPM before we go back to the desk. Yeah, if you thought JPM was boring after the earnings before, didn't even move with the markets when we just had the numbers. So this is definitely a stock. I think you're just waiting until maybe after 10 o'clock or potentially tomorrow to see what the real reaction is for JP Morgan, because you're not getting much info here.
All right, let's touch on a couple other things here. Just getting super core data. Remember, they do release this now, this super core. number. And I just mentioned, over the past couple of months, it's been a 10th up, a 10th down on the headline number. Now we're even getting into the point where they're reporting Supercore in 0.01% of a number. So it's 0.01. It was 0.29 versus 0.3 on the headline number. So it's getting to a point where it's just fractional movements right across the board. This move on the overall market kind of running out of a little bit of steam anyways. But gold up again, silver up again. Gold is coming back in a little bit right now, though, still at 0.4%. But I mean, these metals have just been outrageous.
It's been ridiculous, and they made new all-time, both of them, silver and gold, precious metals making new all-time highs yesterday. We've seen this. We've seen the central banks continue to buy into the narrative that, you need to de-dollarize and not expose yourself to possible risks when it comes to sanctions and whatever. And we've seen President Trump kind of take a renewed interest in that yesterday, threatening 25% tariffs on any country doing business with Iran, on any business that they're doing in the United States. That obviously puts into question some of the deals that he struck with China. China, Russia, as well as others are all obviously doing business with Iran. But Brendo, you and I talking off camera about the GDP print that we got, I think last week while I was gone. It was a 5 spot, I believe, a little bit higher. And if you're able to generate that kind of productivity and maintain a decent inflation rate like that, despite some aspects of the economy being K-shaped, this looks pretty healthy.
And a lot of people pointing to not only 5, but possibly even higher than that by the end of the year. Which, I mean, there's all kinds of strength going into this. It's worth noting, guys, anyone who is watching the banks or JP Morgan specifically, the earnings call did start here at 8:30. So JP Morgan's earnings call on right now. I don't see any comments whatsoever as of yet. I will post any of those when they do come along here. But overall, the banking group kind of chopping around here sideways. But I mean, 69.90 here on the S&P 500.
It looks fantastic, and we glanced at 7,000 yesterday. Yeah. We were at that, but it's a steady state up. But you know what I've been noticing as well? The equal weight. Michael Noss would be super proud of me talking about the RSP right now. That also is starting. It's up 14%, I believe, year to date. The RSP. So keep your eye out on the equal weighted names as well. We've been talking more about the cap weighted, of course, with the SPY and the ES in general being more cap weighted. But good cyclicality and not just market dominance by the top 7.
Just hearing Meta here, through session highs anyways in the pre-market, back to 643 and change, got above 644 on the 830 number there. This thing's still, I zoomed out, still down significantly off the highs, cutting 10% workforce for Meta. So it is negative this morning once again on the back of what was pretty unimpressive yesterday.
And that typically is not something you sell off on. Generally, when there are layoffs, sad to say, usually the price action goes a little bit higher, and especially in Meta's case, where the streets really never warmed up to the idea of the metaverse in general, and you had the pivot, obviously, by Zuck in late 23, early 24 to focus more on AI. So that one was a little bewildering to me, but quite frankly, Meta's like in this holding pattern and has been for the last month, I want to say maybe almost 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's Reality Labs specifically where these job cuts are coming. So maybe the cost cutting aspect of this, the positive, but 18.5% still off the highs here for Meta, guys. Not much of a bounce yet.
No, and really, like, if you might like this pattern that it's doing right now if you're like a downhill skier or something. My 50 period happens to be teal, so it kind of looks like it could be snow. And all that's happening is every single day, we're just riding the 50 SMA to the downside. So no matter where we kind of start, at some point, like we're tagging that and testing it. Sometimes we get a small bounce, but even then, you're likely to run right back into it. I mean, the good news, at least, if there is going to be good news here, is you've been bouncing whenever you have that like pull back in. So in theory, like this kind of sets up as a potential bounce day. But yeah, I think penalty blocks is maybe, penalty blocks is not necessarily the right word in this particular case because I don't think it's been that bad in this range. I just think it's a wait and see. Like it's finally ground down into this higher low support at 638. So it just like if it breaks that, then pure penalty box for sure from a price standpoint. But as long as you're holding the 50 and you're holding that, like it's more of like a wait and see. And I said inside of this range, the stock wouldn't be the most exciting thing to trade. And then if it can get away from this compression pattern, then it gets a little more interesting for Meta. You would like to see them cutting jobs in a division which hasn't really done much for you. You would typically think that should be very welcome news, positively. And so to get the opposite of that it's not encouraging at all for Meta. But we have seen some of this like rotation where you get a couple of Mag 7 names that look bad when the other ones are looking good, and it could just be caught up in that right now with Meta and Microsoft doing nothing, and Apple kind of falling, and Alphabet taking everybody's lunch, and Amazon looking better. So yeah, they're all kind of doing their own thing, but I am disappointed here. As long as you hold that 50 period, there's not much of a trade to be had because it's just not moving.
We'll have Brian Shannon here today in and around 2:30, 2:45. We'll ask him about the official penalty box and when Meta can get out and if it's in it and all of that. So good look there. This is the Mag 7 ETF. It's called MAGS, M-A-G-S. So this has all 7 equally weighted into its ETF. And you can see we haven't, really come close to making highs. I mean, that was pretty good, $68. I mean, the high is just almost 70, 69.50 or so. That was made back in October. So we haven't made new highs since, last sort of earnings cycle. So we'll have to wait to see if now this sort of cycle creates that lift into all-time highs here for Mag 7 names, right? And so you're going to see like a name like Google's already at all-time highs. Apple's a stone's throw away from there. Then you got names like Meta and Microsoft that aren't near there, and Tesla, of course, 10% away as well. So this is an ETF that if you guys are interested in it, it's a small little dividend there because of names like Apple and Google pays a little bit. So we'll continue to look at this. This is, if you wanted to get, instead of the Nasdaq 100, which is primarily concentrated by the Mag 7, you can throw out the other, 93 names and just roll with this ETF. And you can see Meta, not helping this name either, right? And so it's just an equally weighted Mag 7 ETF. So definitely check that out if there's something that you're interested in the space. You don't want to, I was thinking about if you don't want to pick one, but you like them and you're not sure where to go, this is a way to get exposure to them all. And that way, if it's a downside drift in the overall Nasdaq, obviously you'll get pumped, but now you're not really, focused on which one of the big guys will work, because like last year you had Amazon flat, so this will actually help you diversify a little bit into all 7 of them. Because I don't know what's up with our charts here, but you did have a little bit of an appreciation into this name last year. So Mag 7, I like it there, and it looks like, as per usual, we do get the huge move up, and we'll wait to see for a long. I have the sticky note; it's out already. Like I said, Intel was the #1 name for me yesterday, P&L wise. It'll be the #1 name on the idea sheet here today. And if the futures do come back into somewhere where we started this whole day at, I think we can go long down there as well. So Mag 7, if you were kind of interested in that today, get a little bit of all of them, and it's tradable. It's tradable for sure. So you can watch out for MAGs. Should be a good little chart there. Very, very similar to like an FXI, which would be your China 100. Mag 7, a good little look. And we had a huge run yesterday because of Alibaba and some of that love over there for China. And today Alibaba was slightly down. I think it was 164. Yeah, 164 and change. So yesterday's huge move up to 166, 167, getting hit a little bit. This could be a good breakout level for Alibaba as well. So yeah, all right, let's go back over to the desk. And yeah, keep your questions coming. Like if there's any stocks in the chat, we have the stock visualizer. Hit your $sign. Hit the like and the subscribe. I see that we are about 210 or so away right now from 550,000. So there it is, 549. We actually have the, if Andre can get that up, we actually have the screener up that will show us how many we are away from it right now. But over 4,000 of you watching, we need 200. And if I could just look here, like we have this sub on thing right now. So yeah, there it is. Get me away from there, man. I don't know who hits that, Andre. Don't do that again. 78, no, you can do whatever you want. 78 to 22%. So look, man, if 1 out of every 5 of you just hits it right now, we'll hit that mark real easily. All right, we just got 1 person hitting it. Thank you so much for doing that. We'll get a little more, and we'll go over to Joe. I thought we already did. No, we didn't do upgrades and downgrades. We're doing upgrades and downgrades I think Intel will be on there. There it is right there, 791. So oh, ooh.
Oh, now.
Ooh.
Get 800? Ooh.
Ooh. All right. Ooh.
3 more.
Okay.
We can't go to Joe until we get 3 more, everybody.
Okay.
Just get it to
Wow.
800,
Whoa.
and then we can go get some upgrades.
Hello. There it is. Let's go. I knew my random comments might work there, but that was fun, guys. Let's keep that going. We'll do that. How much fun is that going to be when we get to? Hey, Brendan, we still have another bottle, by the way, in the fridge. So that could get popped. It's in the second fridge. So Raheem brought those 2 big bottles for us. So all right, thank you everybody for doing that. Let's keep it going. If you want to see us drink early, get us 200 more of those, and we'll pop the bottles around here. All right, Joe. Upgrade, downgrade. Let's go.
No, it's dry January. It's dry January, guys. Come on. Let's get it together. Let's get it together here. All right, no, in all seriousness, guys, let's take a look at some of these analyst actions here today, this morning. All right, we're going to start this off with ARM. Yes, ARM going from a buy to a neutral weight here by Citigroup. You're down 2.2% here this morning. Now, one of Ramin's picks here, ASTS, also going from a buy to a neutral, guys, by B. Riley. You're down 1.4% here. And then we have Five Below by Jefferies, down 1.2%, with the price target being lowered to $210. Now, PayPal also outperformed to a neutral by DWA Capital. You're down only a 50%, price target to $61. Now, as for some of the upgrades here, we have Intel, yes, getting the nod by KeyCorp here, 3.3% in their pre-market session, getting a price target of $60. And then we also have Alien Energy, 0.66% this morning. We're going from a market perform to an outperform by BMO Capital. And then MasterCard also, guys, getting the upgrade from going from a neutral to a buy. Substantial price target increase here to $735 by Compass Point. And then we have Lam Research going from $195 to a $245 price target by Bank of America. You're down a little bit less than a 50% here. And that is your analyst actions this morning, guys.
Lam is a rocket. I think we were talking about this in the context of there was a question in December about someone asked us about AMAT. It was like Lam's just better, and then in the context of ASML, like if you ever wanted to pivot, I mean ASML's been a great company, but if you ever wanted to pivot from ASML, like this would be a place that you could go and get not exactly the same exposure because one is a monopoly, but to make the stuff that makes the chips, and they've been absolutely flying, and a lot of this like AI play or the semiconductor play has been so pent up on a few names that some oldies and goodies have gotten lost in the sauce. But this is absolutely blowing up. And even just in the last week or two, it's actually gotten a little frothy. Like to go 20%, 25% just recently is pretty impressive for LRCX. Great name, but there was a downgrade on that list that I think is getting very close to its breakdown low. So I've been waiting for this one to get down to $100, and it's happening now, and that is ARM. So every single time someone's asking, I'm like, nope, not yet. Fell in front of the 180, and I was a buyer in the April lows, and I'm looking for a pullback, at least back into the $100 level. The thing about ARM on this downgrade is just how range-bound it actually has been. When you consider like the IPO and then the break here at 80, it's been 80 to 180 and just holding that range back and forth. So buying this one when it gets underneath $100 and then holding out for it to get into the 170, 180 range has been the jam. But it's a wild range. It's not like it's a small range or anything here on ARM, but it is headed back in toward that bottom. So looking for another bounce, which it was able to do successfully. I mean, 3 times if you want to count August. I'm really going to call it twice that it was under $100 because this one doesn't count. Like to me, if you don't, it didn't spend a day under $100. Like this time it bounced under 100, but every time it's gone under $100 in recent memory, it's been a great bounce and almost a double up. So looking for the same thing on ARM, possibly sometime this month, maybe a little bit later.
All right, so I have here, I have Intel as a long, and just put the sticky note in the chat there. I have ARM as a short. So yeah, I'm just going to play those two. upgrades and downgrades as they lie. So Intel's long on dip buys, ARM short on any move higher. I think it's a very, very standard play for sure. I still have Alibaba up right there. But yeah, you know, well, we can talk about ARM because Intel was so good yesterday. I just hope I don't, like we did really well on it. I want to make sure that we keep it sort of in the pocket. I don't want to be wrong and give up everything that we had made yesterday. But there's the 200 period moving average. So a green right there on your 200 period moving average, and that's what we'll be looking at here for ARM. Again, it could be a nice ripper though early if the market could hold. So we'll wait to see if there's going to be a topping tail candle or something there with ARM. So I won't reach for it, but I will look for the short. So yeah, everyone's saying AMD stand up. Yeah, I mean it's the same upgrade cycle here by KeyBank. That creates this move higher. And again, I think it's like a short under 220 and a long above 200. So we kind of sit in the middle, and there's your 200 and there's your, I guess it's kind of like 225, but this is the thought. So while as my kid is saying right now, my son is like whilst everything. I was doing this whilst watching a movie. 225, 200, so you're caught in this little channel. You're not too far away from these levels again, so maybe AMD does get back up here. I actually sold up here but have not rebought, so that will be a waste of time if it does get back up here, but we're gonna wait to see what happens right now with AMD today, up 4%. I'm choosing Intel, just like Pikachu gets chosen quite often, and I choose Neil for the following ad.
Let's talk about PDS Biotechnology. That's PDSB over on the Nasdaq. They're transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer, with an initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common types of head and neck cancer in the US in just a few years. You can learn more by visiting www.pdsbiotech.com. Shout out to them and want to thank them for sponsoring that portion of the show. We'll get to the desk back in a second. Daniel, I just saw a question there from Daniel, and it's back to ARM, which we were literally just discussing. Are you thinking to buy ARM at the 108 price? No. My plan of action is absolutely not to be buying down here. Like, I want to wait for a test underneath $100. And my point was, I missed this dip buy in front of 100. The first time it happened, I got this one essentially because of the April lows. Let's be real, I just got kind of fortunate. And then it gave you a nice ramp job, so I'm looking to buy again underneath the $100 level. Maybe it'll be at 100. It's just not here, not at all. I don't think that we're at the spot yet. I mean, it did do a death cross if you're into that sort of thing as well. Not much of an AI push for them at all, so they're getting beat down a little bit here on ARM. So if you're playing inside the range, because it's incredibly weak relative to the space and relative to the overall market, typically I'd like it to actually get to support before considering buying back in or rebuying the shares that I sold. So that's my look on ARM there. I saw someone in the chat just said we're in a bull trap right now. I don't necessarily want to overreact that far, but we have noticed, and if you've been watching the show for a while and you see at 8:30 when the numbers come out, oftentimes we'll get that massive move up, but there is a dip. It's very, very rare that you get an 8:30 number that pushes the market, say through a breakout, through yesterday's highs, that sort of a thing, and then we end up at 9:30 at those highs without a significant dip back all the way in. So we haven't filled in the entirety of the gap here on the Qs, but we are now back to flat. I think that's a good litmus test as well. He's kind of coming right back into flattish at 627 here on the Nasdaq, or on the triple Qs, I should say. But still could be a little ways to go. What I do like, one of the names that I like for long today is silver not pulling back. So when the market doesn't pull all the way back, but pulls a significant amount, silver is still holding higher highs, higher lows, so you're still trending up here on silver in the pre-market. That's the kind of thing I want to note, like what remained relatively strong in the midst of this pullback, and it might give you a bit of a hint as to where you might want to be looking at 9:30, which is just over a half an hour away, boys.
Shout out to Adara, working hard in the background as always. Already has a full CPI recap out on TTV Research on X. So if you're looking for that, go check that out. TTV Research on X. Adara never stops.
No.
Never stops. Shout out to her. All right, Google to the upside here just made a new high, coming back in real quick. We're sitting right on this resistance area from the pre-market early on this morning. We get the 8:30 number. The initial reaction here for Google was actually down, and then it just ripped up to new highs once again. Couple things for Google if you missed it yesterday. Your Apple iPhone is going to be powered by Gemini, or Siri at least will be powered by Gemini going forward, which I was kind of testing the waters a little bit with diehard Apple fans that are in my immediate circle last night, just to see what their thoughts were on the fact that Google was going to be a part of their iPhone. And it was overly negative.
Really?
Yes. But this is coming from people who I don't think have much experience or exposure to Gemini at this point.
Why.
And how great it's been. So I think it's a great move. I mean, there was also a note this morning saying they're going to move premium pixel manufacturing to Vietnam. Yeah, by this year, by the end of this year. So a couple things.
So a couple of headlines. Those are great segues, Brendo. But personally, I had an Android device, but it was a long time ago. But anybody who's used Google's voice dictation, whether on a Google speaker or it's exponentially better than Siri, and it was never close.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, because Google seems to have gotten that right. They've got so much data off which to work. So I do like that, and I do like it a lot. But Apple didn't come to this conclusion quickly. You know, they tested chat, they tested Anthropic. There were many different LLMs that they tested. It seems like Google was the one that they've done business with in the past. Apparently, again, we don't really know, but it's going to be about $1 billion a year that they pay Google. But Google's already paying Apple $20 billion a year. So that's one side of the announcement there. The other side is, as Brendo mentioned, they plan to develop and manufacture the high-end Pixel smartphone in Vietnam later this year. They already make stuff there, so this is going to already build on the plants and the focus that they already have in Vietnam. But they're also going to do new product introduction, NPI activities in Vietnam. So it's NPI is a critical phase in the process development, the testing, the refinement, sort of that feedback loop that you do before you launch a product into market. So that's going to be done there, and that's going to save a lot of money according to sources. They're still going to make the lower end Pixel and some lower end devices in China. That's not going to move, but clearly a strategic shift here, kind of learning from a little bit from Apple, right? With a whole beef, right? With Apple making the majority of their iPhones in China and then moving it to India. They're choosing Vietnam over India.
Yeah, it's curious why, maybe just a capacity situation, but it's curious why only the high-end versions, not the full lineup, but maybe it's a capacity type of situation. But big day yesterday, guys, for Alphabet. We're higher here once again this morning.
I mean, diversifying out of China, you just look at what's going on geopolitically. Like, you get this tit for tat. First of all, Venezuela, half of that was about China anyways, and now you have what's going on with Iran, and certainly, like, the potential for the U.S. to slap a 25% more in terms of tariffs, because China is going to continue to buy oil from Iran. That's not a good sign. You take of all the progress that got made and like the small deals, and that could go a little bit backwards. So I mean, yeah, diversifying away from China is going to make sense. As far as Alphabet today, like, it's another all-time high breakout. The weird thing is, like, the actual breakout yesterday was one of the weirder ones you'll see, because it broke the top on news, gave it all back, and then had a pretty significant, like, right at the end of the day, in the last 30 minutes, you had this dip into the prior high. It's like, if you forget about the news, that was a pretty constructive breakout off the 331 level. So you have a couple of places to look back. We closed at 32, so that's the obvious. Like, that's the first look, is typically going to be the prior close, but then you still have that 31, which I think can be in play today. The fact that it's pulled back a little more than the Nasdaq gives me a little bit of pause, because the Nasdaq is a little closer to the highs, whereas you're back to where we started when we had that CPI number. That doesn't give me those feels. Like, when I looked over and it was pointing out silver to you, silver's right back at the highs when the market pulled back, and Google's right back to where it started when the market is actually bouncing. So I would sit this one out for the open. The way that it head faked yesterday could mean patience pays off, but This is the Mag 7 on the run right now. No questions asked. So it's the only one that on the day trade, well, that's not fair to say because Tesla's making a bit of a bounce too. It's the only one outside of, say, Tesla that on the day trade is actually giving you big opportunities to trade. The others have been pretty quiet.
Yeah, Google was going to be my #1 pick yesterday, but then it was just like everybody. It's not. We all picked kind of like more exciting names.
We ended up picking a lot of shot plays.
That's what I mean. So it's like I was going to do it in my last one, and then I was like, I got to do Big Bear AI because how else am I going to compete with some of these ones that might blast out? But like Marissa just messaged me right now, and she sent me a screen cap of her Find My, which is like an Apple thing, and because her AirPods are in my car, so it's like, oh, my AirPods are in your car. It's because she lends them out to the kids, and then they leave them everywhere. So, Apple I think is gonna win. Like it's a, we've already talked about this, man. It's the #1 consumer product name of all time there, with the invention obviously of the iPhone, and I heard Brendan say like when they said Google, it looks like they're kind of copying Apple a little bit, and he was like, go figure it. I mean, I just think that that's part of the game, right? When you have something that works, it works. And I said already, I thought it was like a rotation out of Apple just at the end of the year as people were looking to position themselves into some names that could potentially run. And it's been a good year, like, for Silver and for some of these names, SMR and things like that have run over the last 2 or 3 weeks as people get, ready for space and all of that. So I think Apple will eventually, when people start to, run out of ideas or are already potentially levered into those names, I think money will come back into Apple. I mean, this is probably the largest held name institutionally and retail-wise. So when people are looking to sell, I think that they go for Apple. But I don't know if Neil said this or not, but I think Google is, the cream of the crop. Gets you a little bit of everything. But the problem is valuation right now with a PE approaching 30. It was really attractive down at $18 when it was at 160, right? Now you've really matured into that. And although it continues to run, and what a year Google's had, and even just the last, we say year it's had. I actually meant from back here, but if you just go over this year, you're straight up, man. And it's just, 50 period, that's what we've been watching ever since we broke it. So we broke it back in May there, and then all of a sudden you get the government, and that's court favorable decision there, and it was off to the races. So I think it just goes higher from here, man. I mean, I'm using Gemini. I told the story here yesterday. The kids are using it now, and it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting product. The LLM game is going to be one that is around for a while, but the benefit of Google is they can match it with search. They already have the big customers. People are very, very familiar with all the products here in the G Suite. So I like Google moving forward more than Apple, but I don't think you can go wrong pairing them together. So, a match made in heaven for us Apple users as Siri will get the refresh that we're all hoping for. So that's a great thing. I know you're excited back there, Sharif. I don't really use Siri that much anyways, but I do find that it would make it easier, I guess, to talk to your phone and maybe schedule things in, I think. With the Gemini app, yep.
You know what I've been doing lately? The instruction to Siri is, hey, you know who? Yeah. Check with ChatGPT, right. And then the following. I don't even ask Siri anything direct anymore. There's no point. It's hot garbage, right? But every time you get a response back from Siri via chat, it's like, check for mistakes on important information because we all know the hallucinations are ever present.
Apple, I haven't had one long enough to understand this, but the one thing that I loved about Gemini on Android phones was, like if you're at the gym or if you're running or something like that outside, you could, and listening to music, you could skip a song just by giving it an instruction, like, hey, G, next song.
You can do that with Siri. So it integrates with Spotify. So previously, it wouldn't integrate with third-party apps. It would have to be Apple Music. Right. Not anymore. So you can be like, hey, go to the next track or whatever.
Or if you're driving or something like that. Like,
exactly.
That was my best use case by far, is like if you're in the car listening to music, with YouTube or whatever, you can skip a song without even touching anything.
I mean, I think, as you guys were saying, I think it's just a matter of implementing it, right? Like, I know if you have your AirPods in and your phone is ringing, you just nod your head and it picks it up, right? So there's lots of different little things like that. And I think that, with Siri, you're going to be able to say, hey, blah, 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 skip track or whatever. But yeah, to
Basic stuff.
To Sharif's point, you could do it now. But I don't think, I don't take offense to, there it is, we're starting the show all over again. We did not have a great start to the show. So let's just regroup. We are now live every day at 9:04. But no, I don't take offense to it, but I think what Sharif's saying about Siri being hot garbage, it was never really meant to be this LLM. So we're now spoiled to ask every question. Like I'm in the car now in the Tesla, and I'm literally like, hey, Grok, what time is the Leafs playing tonight? And obviously they get it to me immediately, right? And I think basic questions like that is no problem. But when you want to start to implement it into your calendar, like say, hey, Siri, put, today's date with my wife in the calendar. We're going to this restaurant at this time. I think that's the part that's going to be really cool when we look at my phone.
The little
I shouldn't have said that, my bad.
Like you finish a phone call and you just had to maybe cancel a reservation or move a reservation, and you're like, okay, I don't want to have to. And you just say, hey, can you move my Friday reservation from 6:30 to 7:30? Like little things, and it fixes your calendar for you. We've gotten completely spoiled by that. I think all that Apple had to do was just find a way to get on par, and it didn't matter whether it was Siri or partnering here. It's just a matter that they did it. And we haven't talked too much, or I think even at all, about some small cappers that are going this morning. So just a quick little pivot because EVTV, again. I feel like in the afternoon, this is the one that we were joking about, that if you you just pick this one for the short if you could, because it was up a bajillion% yesterday. But they did get they had a big contract that they were able to get yesterday, and that's the reason for the run. And it is catching a bit of a bid again. Heck, it's almost at VWAP, everybody, bouncing off $3, 27%, 27 million in volume as well. But it's under VWAP and a little bit off of the post-market highs. Remember, this ran pretty heavily in the aftermarket if you're paying attention yesterday in the afternoon.
Someone in the chat, Tony in the chat says, why don't we just use our brain? And I was like, my brain doesn't work that well, so I'll continue to use.
It's about convenience. It's about being efficient.
Yeah, exactly. It's about because I was thinking about this.
Less time in the day? I don't know.
Yeah, back in the day, let's just say even 20 years ago, okay, when we didn't have all this information, you'd have to have actual knowledge. Someone would have to say, is, blah, 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 still alive. You didn't have the ability to go there and just search it immediately. Now we can literally just say that question into the universe, and one of our systems will immediately give us the answer.
One of the downsides,
it's amazing how that all works.
One of the downsides I do find is how we're in terms of getting places. When we learned to drive, you had at best you maybe could print out a map, or you were actually using maps.
Oh, well, that is what you would do. Yeah.
And what I found, I get it, it's a convenient, you're going on long trips, you're not going to know those places. But what I found is people now don't know their own cities and neighborhoods at all.
Yeah, they're lazy.
Because you don't have to. But you should be able to navigate.
Yeah.
And it's made us lazy in some ways, but that's all part of progress. Progress just works that way. Everything is a trade-off. There's nothing that isn't a trade-off. You're always gaining or losing something. It's just a matter of the trade-offs making things better overall. And to me, it's making it better overall. So
now you get into your car, and my map automatically sends me to wherever I'm going. It's absolutely insane because it connects to the calendar. Anyways, all right, sticky notes are now out. Oh, it's 9:08. We got to get to this rundown. Wow, we are, good thing we did start today at 9:04 because we're getting on in time right now, but make sure you do join us every morning. If you're just joining us now, it's 8 a.m. We are live every single day, and we are now 187, it looks like, away.
187.
There it is from that. So I think if we start hitting it right now, then we'd be up to 814, and then the next one after that would be 815.
Usually. Or we just skip 15.
And if someone just hits it right now, it would be 815.
Get two people right in a row and we'll get to 16.
All right, let's throw it back to the desk. This is not working. Okay, so we'll throw it back to the desk right there. I'm still looking at the other one now that it's still 814. All right, Brendan, let's kill them with our knowledge of the market, and maybe we'll get one more subscriber there. So back to the desk. We have our rundown. We have our watch list. Let's go.
All right, guys, 695.16. That's where we closed yesterday on the SPY. The SPY, we're up 0.12 with the overnight high, guys, being 697.28. We just actually popped into that high when we got the CPI number. So we're looking at 697.50. That's going to be our first area of resistance. If we sell off for whatever reason, we're looking to this 4-hour candle low, 694.25, Brendo, as our first level of support.
All right, let's get right into it here. Lots to talk about this morning. Intel just making a new high as we speak right now. We'll cover both of these, Intel, AMD. KeyBank with a nice upgrade here. It was 2 days ago. We had both of these to the upside. Here we go back to highs.
All right, so a bit of a couple of different reasons why these were upgraded, so I'll cover them briefly. Let's start with Intel. They get the nod here to overweight from KeyBank. Look, they're saying Intel is largely sold out of their server CPUs through all of 2026, with basically the hyperscalers absorbing the majority of the supply. That gives Intel room, though, to consider a 10 to 15% average selling price increase, an ASP increase, which is obviously very beneficial for margins. They also point out to the improvement in the yields for Intel's 18A node. This is for their foundry business. It's very similar to the Taiwan Semi 3 nanometer. So they're saying they're getting a lot better at that. Let's talk about AMD, because that one was also upgraded. They also get an overweight rating, and they're saying they're also pretty much sold out of their CPUs, server CPUs for 2026. But they're saying now their server CPU business will grow at least 50% this year, and they expect their AI-related revenue to reach about $14 to $15 billion for the year, powered by, Brendo, that MI355 and the upcoming MI455.
A little bit of AI positivity right across the board. CoreWeave, I just started popping up. Not really. Almost tagged 90 there, coming back in, but monster day yesterday for CRWV as well. So
yeah.
Intel or AMD, or maybe both today, guys?
I'm Intel, but
I have Intel, but I think you can't go wrong. I think in terms of trading vehicle, at least over NVIDIA, that's for sure, because NVIDIA just really hasn't been moving a heck of a lot lately. So you've been looking elsewhere in chips. Like yesterday, CoreWeave was probably the biggest mover, double digits for sure. But look, Intel's on the breakout path. So right now, it's in a long setup. So looking for that long. When it's in its little pullbacks here and here, that's when you can maybe favor that short. But it's a fresh break, consolidative day yesterday, and now we're getting the breakaway. So I'm keeping it pretty standard. Looking, pre-market low is going to give you 45. Well, I guess yesterday's high, pre-market low is going to give you around the 45 quarter. I think as long as we're holding 45, I like it. You don't know at 8:30 necessarily what the market reaction is going to be. So at the time, it did seem like the dip and rip was going to be a much easier pullback in a prior high. I don't know that that's going to be the case. If we do get a dip into VWAP, that'd be the first place I'll look, right about here at 45.5 instead of that 45 even 2/4 on INTC. But it's getting a little frothy where you're going to start to want to see actual progress made. We can wait till earnings on that, because I think they're going to need to show us that they've improved their yields. I think they're going to need to show us maybe some more clientele and margin improvement. There's a lot fundamentally that Intel needs to prove. I mean, the bottom's in technically. It is what it is. Like, this is clearly an uptrend. But they have a lot to prove it when it comes to earnings, because they're still, I'd say, in the second or third inning of this turnaround from a fundamental standpoint.
yeah, I mean, I think it's had such a huge run. I do have Intel right here written as a $45 long. So let's see if it does fall back in. We're using kind of like the 200 period. I talked about the KeyBank upgrade. We just talked about that. That $60 price target. We could get there. And then I think that would be well overextended at that point. I mean, remember, this has... The minute that we heard the U.S. government was involved in this name, and then you get that break right there, we had a hard time breaking through $27, $28, and then in that one day, we took out all of those levels and never really came back and even looked down here again, you know, like, so that breakout definitely confirmed, and then boom, goes the dynamite right there. Maybe you had a little bit of a 2-day pullback as it slows down, and then it just went, you know, and so right now, here goes Intel to the upside. You are getting into another cluster, of course, up here around $50. So that would be, you know, the next sort of take area. Could we get there today? I mean, it's 10% higher than this. I think it is possible, as a lot of traders will run over to Intel, I believe, and just support this name. Like we said, it's just a good turnaround. I don't know if I want to be in this name for too much longer, but I don't think there's been a problem holding on to this. So we'll still hold on to our Intel. And yeah, I'm looking for a 45 dip buy. So I'm actually sitting here right now at 45.20. So where the 200 period moving average is, we'll sit there, we'll wait for it. It's kind of the top into yesterday's afternoon. If we can get some 45.20s, let's go, man. Yesterday, we were short Intel right away off the morning, and it was my #1 stock. And then it blew up, and we got out and was able to tick out of it right here at 45.07 or 45.10, whatever it was. But we hit it in this range yesterday and kept on playing the short. So if it does this kind of a action here today, then we'll just go the other way and we'll look long on an upgrade, right? And so I know the other side of the story is AMD. And for me, I still want to fade this name if we get, to me, it's just into this area. So I said it already, we're in the middle right now. I'd really like to look at this thing around 220. So I think that that's possible today, or a bid down here. It's not going to get the bid, but you're only 2 days away from this name being at 205. So I don't know if I want to buy this right now at 215 or 220. You know, it's been a big move over the last couple of days. We like AMD. We obviously like the space, but for me, it's an Intel play today, just more volume, and cheaper stock has the ability to go a little bit higher there. So, all right, man. All right, I haven't even looked at the banks here on this. Yeah, because JP Morgan is having their press conference right now, or their earnings call, sorry. So we're going to figure out if that's done anything, if there's any key stories about it at all. I do know that we have David's super chat. We can.
Let's just throw it up right now.
Do we want to? Yeah, I didn't see what it was.
We'll quickly read it up. Thank you, David. My account yesterday regarding the 2025 discretionary line note taking, quote, YouTube TTL, and then you responded 1,000 kilos of tilapia. Yes, the fish. Yeah, the fish. I love that you keep that detail. Thank you for all those super chats. Although I can promise you, we do not put the super chats to use to get more tilapia. We get enough of that with the lunches.
Oh man, I don't even want to get an early look at the lunch. I'm going to wait for the lunch. All right, let's go back and hear from these guys about the banks.
You just know now it's going to be tilapia.
All right, you know it's coming at some point. Quickly, there's a note on Apple. Apple launching, stepping into Adobe's sandbox, by the way. Apple is launching Apple Creator Studio on January 28th, bundling Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixel Maker Pro on Mac and iPad, plus Motion Compressor main stage on Mac with new AI features and premium templates in Keynotes, Pages, and Numbers. So $12.99 a month for all that.
How much is that cheaper than the Adobe? Isn't Adobe like $100-something bucks?
Yeah, it's much higher. So anyway, JP Morgan still on everyone's mind. Jamie Dimon actually speaking right now on this call. So just a heads up, if anyone's watching this, we are getting a slight uptick. I haven't seen any comments that are out of the ordinary, or I mean, he has this ability to post these just insane numbers, record, you know, right across everything, right across the board. Yeah. And then he gets on the call and he talks so cautiously and so, you know, not positive looking forward. I mean, he's just talking about the Apple credit card right now. Yeah. But overall, this thing not doing anything.
Well, it's always that old adage, right? You underpromise and overperform. But that Apple card will feature in a second because it's one of the reasons their profits are actually down year over year. Otherwise, it was stellar. Let's talk about it. EPS 523, beating the 5 expected by the street on revenue of 46.77 billion, beating the 46.02. Notable, though, because it was very, very tough year-over-year comparisons. Remember, we had that whole post-election tailwind last year, so there was a lot of strength. Now, let's talk about the area where it didn't do that well. Reported profit fell 7% year-over-year, down to 13.03 billion, really as a result of one reason only, that $2.2 billion reserve that's tied to JP's takeover of the Apple portfolio, I should say, from Goldman Sachs. That translated into about a 60 cents per share headwind, masking, you know, the underlying operation here that's been doing quite well. Wall Street trading desk continues to benefit Brendo from high volatility. Investment banking stability or activity has stabilized after, you know, a weaker prior cycle. But they're in this Goldilocks zone, right? You have easing rates, you have stable consumer credit, and you have a lighter regulatory pressure. Apparently, they're supposed to have a deregulatory tailwind that we've been hearing about since President Trump was reelected. We still really, though, haven't seen it.
I mean, it is a positive environment for banks in general right now. But to your point, tomorrow we'll get, more tomorrow, more on Thursday as well. But Citigroup coming up on Wednesday. with some job cuts announced today as well. It's not really doing anything, but worth a note here, guys, for the banks.
I'm thinking Citi and Wells might move a little better than JP, but I think when you print money the way that JP Morgan does, you want to have someone like Jamie Dimon that's going to be not protectionist isn't the right word, but careful and measured, at least in terms of rhetoric and outlook. That seems perfectly reasonable to me. On a weekly, one note: this isn't the trade for me today. I think JP is a very good reason to wait until at least the middle of the day, or maybe like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Also, maybe give it the 3-day rule on a higher time frame. But on the weekly, you do have a bit of a reversal candle coming in, so it wouldn't be unreasonable. Like if this gets a temporary top, there's a lot of probably good support here in the 280 to 300 range, which would be fantastic if post earnings you're able to get a bit of a dip into. So I think that's what I'd be waiting for, just in case they decide to get irrational about this one for a little bit. Might give you a bit of a dip buy, but I'd wait for it. Not today.
Andre, let's get that counter back up there, because there it is. Look at that, 833. So we're starting to get much closer.
What's happening today?
Right now, I would say it's going to be happening. Hopefully, it's going to be happening before 10 o'clock. I'd like to see that happen. So let's get that going. Yeah, I was the same way. I mean, I didn't actually wind up selling any JP Morgan, but I was nervous about it. And I think that if you were going to sell yesterday, you could just sell today. I mean, not much has really happened here. I was nervous, exactly what Brendan said there. And I mentioned it yesterday, and Jamie Dimon always tends to look at what the negatives and what the possible sort of headwinds would be for the company. And if he's doing that right now and JP Morgan's going higher, then I like. So I am very, very pleased with this report today. And I ain't no bank analyst or anything like that. They can run through the numbers and tell you all that, right? We can tell you that it was a top line beat, top and bottom line beat on EPS and on earnings per share and on the forward guide as well. So it's a nice, and on the revenue number. So it was a nice move for JP Morgan. I would say there's a very good possibility that once this market opens up, we do take out this 328, and then you can use sort of VWAP in and around 325 to try to support that hold. But the thing about it is, if they're still talking right now, you are always at risk of a possible meltdown or up on the stock, depending on what questions are asked and how that all goes. I don't see them on here right now as an imbalance, so there's definitely not a whole bunch of interest in someone jumping this stock right here. So I'm going to wait on any JP Morgan love or hate until this market opens up. So right now, the stock relatively flat on their earnings, and I think that's good. I mean, you want to sort of see continuality in the chart, and it looks like we're going to have that. Like, what you don't want to see is like these breaks, like we saw back in last year, this quarter. So now we'll have to wait to see if we can hold right there. I mean, this is heading into the tariffs, but just last February, you just want to see a hold of this area, and we don't have to even test $300. So that was my nervous sort of spot, and it doesn't look like we're getting there. That would be obviously a 10% move, and the bank doesn't have that in it, not today, or else it would already be going. So with 9:22 right now, we have a few more stories to get to, and then this market will open up. So let's go hear about Meta. They just hired a new president yesterday, and then followed that with some cuts in Reality Labs.
10%, to be exact, coming out of Reality Labs. This thing still, if you joined us in the first 30 minutes, we touched on this real quick. Make sure you're joining us at 8 a.m. every single morning. 18% drawdown still off the all-time highs when the market's there or thereabouts. So relatively weak, definitely for Meta here, but maybe some cost cutting could ignite this. Who knows?
They've had some hiccups too, right? I mean, we've seen their new AR glasses taking a little bit longer to get to market, and then even the ones that were tested, quality was a bit of an issue. That seems to be a bit of a consistent thing with Meta's products, especially if we're comparing them to the premium Apple products. But as you mentioned, 10% job cuts in a 15,000 strong division, where of course we're talking about Reality Labs, which is now shifting its focus from VR to AI wearables. This is after December, Brendo, if you recall, the company announced job cuts there and budget reductions of around 30% to the Metaverse group, and reports now are suggesting that Meta executives are also considering another 30% budget reductions for 26. The previous one was for 2025, despite Zuckerberg previously positioning Metaverse as central to the company's future. There seems to be a bit of a shifting focus now.
No love yet. Do you want to cover Dal here real quick? No love yet for Meta. Let's cover Dal here real quick because we're getting on in time as well. Delta with earnings this morning, for the most part, better than expected right across the board. They got it higher. But I think the forecast, or part of the forecast that came in a little bit questionable, was, as we were discussing earlier, they pointed directly at the front of the plane where all the growth is going to come from versus economy, suggesting that that part of the overall economy is still struggling.
Exactly, and we'll get to the number of expansions in a minute, but I'll just cover exactly how they did. So look, they printed $1.55 on EPS, beating the $1.53. That was the beat. There was a slight miss as well. $14.61 billion in revenue. That missed the $14.69 billion expected by analysts, but their Q4 profit rose about 45% year over year, taking home a little bit less than $1.25 billion. And they're guiding pretty aggressively as well. They're saying their earnings could jump more than 20% this year versus last year, with adjusted EPS coming at $6.50 to $7.50. The street was looking for $7.25, so a bit of a wide margin there. But here's what caught my attention. The Delta sits at the top, as Bastian said, of the K-shaped economy, where some people are doing well, some others are not. And building on that, nearly all the planned seat growth this year will be in premium, Brendo. Premium ticket revenue rose 9% year over year in Q4, and it's now bringing in more revenue, not just profit, more revenue than economy. So it just shows you how much focus they are at expanding that premium seating.
Even at just a third of the plane currently. As you were saying, though, on a comparison basis, it was a single flight. Economy ticket, $500. Premium ticket, $4,500. Exactly. Just that massive gap is crazy. But anyway, as I said, following up on that, if you make the economy experience bad enough, you get enough people saying, okay, well, how much is it actually to actually be able to breathe, guys?
On top of that, fleet expansion is going to be a story too, because they're getting 30 787 Dreamliners, an option to get another 30. So that's a potential 60 more Boeing 787s that are coming down the line. Now it's going to take a while, but it's still been positive news for Boeing. I like them a little bit more than Delta here today, because you're making a bit of a breakout. 52-week high is going to get taken out here on a closing basis. Pretty much already has. It did yesterday. So I'm looking for a dip into this 238 area. On Boeing, we are starting to pull back, but I like that headline for them. You already had consolidation break, confirmation there, so looking to buy the dip, as we're now in a new range here for Boeing, and the Delta earnings gives you a positive headline for this name, which I'd rather have a look at.
I was going to say here, for me, as we get into what is right now earnings season for everything, we have to look at the Jets ETF. And I've talked about this. I've mocked the Jets, 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 as we've looked at this name. And we've talked about this name on that dip down right into there. And here we go at the highs right now. This will get you access and to all of the airlines. So if what they're talking about behind us there, you know, a little bit of an expansion there of the premium seats and where they're making all the money and so on and so forth, that's going to be true hopefully for many of the airlines. So if you do like what they're talking about, this looks really good as an ETF. So I think this Jets ETF worth talking about and worth having a look if you're excited about the space. And it's like that Mag 7 ETF. You get them all with one fell swoop. You even get Air Canada, Brendan, in this Jets ETF. So I think that's something to look at if you guys are excited. We're just going to sort of speed through that, go back over here, talk a little bit about SanDisk or whatever names they want to as far as the memory is concerned. And then if my memory is correct, we open up in less than, greater than, almost, exactly right now, 2 minutes.
The clock is on. Not one, but two positive notes here from Micron this morning from analysts trying to squeeze a little bit more out of this two-day pop, right back to basically the highs here from Micron anyways. But as Sean was saying, can look at any of these today.
Exactly. SanDisk, some others as well, if you don't mind trading Samsung on a different exchange. Bank of America raised the price target on MU from 300 to 400. Analyst there, Vivek Arya, reiterated the buy rating. He notes the stock still has potential upside despite the massive run over the past year. The new target implies about a 16% upside from where we are. Brendo, it's the same reasons we've been talking about a lot. Spot and contract pricing, both for DRAM and NAND, have surged in recent weeks, and they continue that. They expect that to continue, I should say, into the first quarter of this year.
Coming back a little bit right now, guys, remember housing data at 10 o'clock. We have some Fed speak coming up a little bit later on as well.
For Micron out of that group, quintuple top on the 15-minute here. The last 5 days, you essentially have the same high at about 347. If we lose this bid early, this could easily gap fill at 344. There was a slight move to the downside in the market, but also in some individual names. I did not see them on the imbalance locator. But NVIDIA did have a little bit of a drop here, kind of losing the bid, losing about 50, 60 pennies. Tesla as well lost a couple of dollars. Didn't see an imbalance on that either. Tesla has a pattern. Last 3 sessions have gone heavy dip at the open, like $4 or $5, and then absolutely rip your face off. So if it does the same thing, I'd look at this 447 level, dip and rip. I just want to see that reversal candle on that initial, one of the first 3-minute candles. Silver is too far to chase at this point. It's crazy. When we sat down, this thing was under 78, and now we're at 80. So we're going to have to be very, very patient for plays in silver, maybe back into VWAP. The opening bell brought to you by 3D Capital, IDK on the CSE. And this Tuesday bell, well, let's ring it right about now.
549,845. We're getting closer and closer. I'm bidding Intel 45.20. We'll see if that comes in right now. And the Nasdaq just goes right back into VWAP. So here goes Intel. Like I said yesterday, it gave us an opportunity to go short. Today, I'm going to look for a long on a KeyBank upgrade. We'll wait to see what's going on with that one. We did my next trade was a Google long, and that dips right into the 200, but just a little too early to make a move now. As you can see, the market just bouncing around like crazy, and I want to trade this thing with a couple hundred shares, so it's like to take this risk a little bit too early for me. Then the short that we didn't get to was ARM, so I was going to short ARM at 110. We wrote that level down a long time ago, and of course it comes right up there again in the pre-market, then gets hit. So ARM shorting in around 110 if we're able to do that. Nasdaq try to get a long. I was looking at yesterday's close, so we can see if that hits. And then Intel, my #1 trade idea that is now gonzo right there to the upside. I just didn't want to take the break. We could have taken that 46 break and coulda, woulda, shoulda, and should have taken it right there. So there goes Intel, monster move higher to start the day, now up 5%.
Yeah, you can't stop that one. And remember, it wasn't just the Intel that got that upgrade. It was also AMD. AMD likewise up 5% as well, as that's absolutely flying. Boeing has moved to the upside as well. It just broke 242, so the dip into 238, not seemingly as likely as it did before. NVIDIA is still going down, believe it or not.
Really?
So yeah, it's just one of those mornings where...
Okay, so it's told us what it wants to do.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Oh, Tesla is doing that drop. But remember, yesterday it was the initial 3-minute candle was an instant reversal. So if we don't get that, then I don't...
Google is, Neil, Google is...
All-time high again?
All-time high. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, right now I had the all-time high. I think it was opening up at the all-time high.
At open, it was all-time.
If not over, yeah. The all-time high was 334. So there we go, man. 338 right now, just like... This is so funny because Apple, the smartest guy in the room here, like these guys don't dump any money into anything, and they just say, you know what, we choose you, and Google's like, we accept, and this stock heading to the high side right now, but I would say the smartest one in the room is Google shareholders, because they're the ones moving on this news, and it looks like Apple right now just trying to get going. They did have a nice downside play, and there we go. Oh, hi, good morning, Adara. I have not seen Adara yet this morning. First of all, Adara, how are you doing today? I hope you had a great evening, and you've got some breaking news for us.
I do. Thank you, Sean. I had a great evening. Hope you all did as well. I don't know if this was covered before I hopped on the desk here, but right around 9:28 a.m., we did get a new Truth Social post from President Donald Trump talking about great bracket low inflation numbers for the USA, saying that Jerome Powell must cut interest rates meaningfully, and if he doesn't, he will just continue to be too late. Also saying, once again, thank you, Mr. Tariff. So Trump here talking about how tariffs have impacted the market in a positive way, specifically the economy, and also talking about how Jerome, too late, Powell must cut interest rates. Economic data we do have at 10 a.m., U.S. new home sales and new home sales change. At 10 a.m., we'll also get some comments from Feds Muslim. Back to you.
All right, so we got our first position on board right now. You can see it, it's ARM. We're going to stop out, hold on a second, ARM. We're going to stop out if it breaks 111. So I'm just looking for more than $1 on this name. So we're short here at 110. It's a position that I wrote down that I liked. The 200 period's at 50, so we'll take 50 cents on let's say 25% of it. So we'll put one right now at 109.55 or so, and we'll just take out like a quarter of the trade, okay? If that does, sorry, 20% I put down there of the trade. So if we can come back in, that's good. And I am sitting to get a little more short ahead of 111. So if that does pop in, that's the first trade of the day for me, and it was just following the rules, and that actually just popped in there. So I was offering on here 110 for ARM. ARM catches a downgrade today, talking about cell phone weakness. I don't know if that part is true, but and it was Bank of America downgrade here, revenue slowdown, and too much of reliance potentially on SoftBank. So let's wait to see if they need funding. I don't know what exactly that means, but there we are. Now we are into the short, so perfect. So we have 50 cents worth of risk right now. That's perfect for me. We do actually understand something, that there's going to be what we call slippage here. If this breaks 111, it's going to rip. So here it goes right now. It looks like we'll take our first loss, but it looks like if it does break, watch out for some kind of slippage. You'll probably get 111.20s or something, but we are at a breaking spot for ARB. So boo on this first trade right there. And then I'm going to throw it back to Neil, but I'm just going to look back. Intel coming back into the 200 period.
Meanwhile, AMD's going in the other direction.
AMD's going the other way.
Like AMD's continuing to fly here, so is it a pivot to AMD?
Still going to try to wait.
If I want to pivot, I'm still going to like to try to go over to Intel. One quick note. I didn't really get to this name, but SMR yesterday was a pivot back and forth, really nice pivot off of both VWAP and the $20 level. It looks like it's trying to hold that 20 here. So it wasn't necessarily on my note, but I do like this chance if it can hold on to the 20 level to at least play into 20 and a third. Oh, sorry, 20 and 2/3, like 20 half to 20.65.
There goes ARM.
So I want to throw that one out there as a potential idea. Silver is still an incredible. It's a big rally, but I said I'm not chasing it up here. It needs to pull back and show me some kind of a dip buy opportunity. I'm not going to fight this one. And Intel is, like, if it's not trading towards your plan, then you don't have to trade it. That is a huge failed break. And suddenly AMD looks strong, and this is looking very, very weak. But it is trying to bounce off the first level. I said first shot would be if it pulls back into prior high. It's just a little too heavy to try to catch this falling knife yet. I'd like to see some buyers emerge before just stepping in on that bad boy. Tesla closes the first salvo under 450. So even this is not really looking like that reversal yet. It's close. Like, there's your bounce. If we can manage to hold up here, maybe retake this 450, then I'd like that play as well. The market's bouncing. Too much weakness on Intel right now to try to catch this bid. It's just broke the low again.
Yeah, so I'm long on Intel right now. We did not have very much slippage at all. We got 111.10s there. So we'll have to slap, we'll talk about the trades we win and lose right there. So there goes ARM flushed through. And maybe now it's a short, but like on a downgrade with the market going to the upside, this name should, like market barely going to the upside, should not be doing this kind of a move. So I'm not going to get back into it. Obviously read wrong on there, but we did not read Intel wrong. Intel falls back in. So we're going to take a piece out right here if we can get it. Like, it just went to 59 and I wanted to analyze that loss, and we should have got some out right there, but here it comes right back in again. We were just long at 36s and it went up to 59ers, so not a bad play there. We are waiting for 45.20 as we had said before, but we're getting close enough to that right here, so we'll see where that goes from here. But so far so good, and we're offering 59 right there on Intel, as the market's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. So I think we can be pretty patient with what's happening here today. Google did make a move down, and we did not buy it, and we should have. I mean, it came back into 336 into VWAP right there, and then just continues its trek a little bit higher. But with the market kind of just flat, might be worth looking to see if JP Morgan can, okay, I was gonna say if JP Morgan gives us some sort of an indication. Right now, the ES also pretty flat, but there goes the bank name that we're looking at today. There goes JPM. And I had said that, it was possibly a sell yesterday. I didn't do anything. And yeah, that makes sense now, down 1%, but let's not cry over that kind of a move. It could get a lot spicier, as we know. All right, Intel, let's go, man. We're at 59. There we go. It's a banger right there for INTC. So we got it. So far, so good there on Intel.
Yeah, Tesla just got low of the day again. So this one looking absolutely nasty. So far, it does not give our confirmation above 450, so we're going to have to back away from this one. Boeing is still flying. There hasn't been much of a dip. This could be the first chance here in Boeing, as it's putting a little bit of a dip through 245. It's a huge breakout on the daily. I feel like I'm going to regret not keeping this one as the pick, but yesterday everyone was going like ham with the runner style picks, and I do not want to be copying anybody, so it is what it is. Dara, congratulations getting to this one first. 2%. The note today, they didn't report, but Delta's report adding 30 787 Dreamliners and then a potential 30 more for up to 60 of an order. So I'm gonna look for the dip into the volume weighted average price. Not all-time high, but 52-week high right now on Boeing. So add that to the list of names that's absolutely breaking out in a nice way. Just sitting here in front of 243, try and pick up the long. And Tesla, okay, Tesla's now coming through. All right, this is where you gotta break the 450 here on Tesla. I want it coming right back in and breaking that level. If we can do that, then we'll look for the play into that high. Well, the high is like 452.5.
All right, we're just cruising right now, so we'll just go chicken dinner winner with Intel. But I mean, it got to 80s there, and we didn't do anything about it. So I'll put an offer at 75 and see if it comes in again. We're just trying to chill out and wait for the best opportunities possible. And right now, I'm not really seeing a whole heck of a lot. My scanner is pretty bland right now. Intel, DraftKings, SMH, Disney, SMR. Maybe we can have a quick look at SMR. There goes Intel flying upside again, and then it just got hit downside a little bit. So we get into the 70s, and then it gets hit. Let me put an offer quickly here at 69. We grab that offer, then we get the 74s, and here we go, man. It's a money-making trade right there as we get back a little bit to flat on the day, obviously, with that one. And then ARM does make that pull up and then pull back in there. So that's ARM. And we said we look at the nuclear names right here. Not going nuclear today, it doesn't look like, but SMR up 1.6. We'll take that. It was a little higher, obviously, into 2030, 2040. A little bit of a dip down ride for SMR gets us into 1950. That could be, wow, here we go, man. Yes, sir. The money bag is right there. This will be back-to-back days that Intel will carry the day for us. It is your number one idea there on the sticky note, about to be dollar clubbing right there. And again, you hear some different strategies, right, on this kind of a play. I was waiting for 45.20. We are just minutes, like 1 minute away from getting a big boy trade on there. But there it goes, man. Getting ready to print your dollar club right there on Intel. So far, so good right there on that one. As we'll go 1 for 2 and net positive here so far today. So let's go, man. Intel 46.20 back to, or trying to get up to the high of the day. But yeah, Google's up to 340, and there goes Intel with what looks to be a good trade there. Yeah,
it looks like a good one there. It'd be flat for me on Tesla. It broke, tried to make that first dollar move, doesn't get through that 451, unfortunately. We're able to get some out in front of this resistance, but if we're not going to close above VWAP, look, we're actually at the low, right back at the low. So we're looking for that reverse play in Tesla. Did not get filled on Boeing. Why didn't I get filled on? That's really, really tight. Oh, that's tight. Really tight. Really, Boeing? All right, so Boeing bounced right off that 243. I'm just going to let it close above 243. If I miss that wick bottom the first time through, if it hits it again, it's probably not a good fill. Let's see if we can hold above the volume weighted average price before we get into this. Silver's done absolutely no pullback whatsoever. And I'm starting to feel like if it's not going to break through this high, this might end up being a trend reversal play, unfortunately. I was thinking long off 76 in silver. We're not getting anywhere close to that. If you cannot break the pre-market high and you break trend, that's almost always a short play. So if it does break the high, then I want to be long to the trend on SLV, which was near the top of the list. But you don't know it's going to run $4 or $3 after that number came out early in the morning. So there's my support. Just draw it on the 3-minute. It's not that hard to do. And if it breaks, I'll look to reverse this one. But we'll go long in front, at least to begin with, as the market right back to HOD. So we did dip, and we're right back at the highs. Now the longs can confirm a little bit here.
Okay. Yeah, we're just waiting for something better. It's too bad because we were literally a penny away. I put in the chat, we talked about that 45.20, but it's a good thing that we started the bidding a little earlier, but it does fall back in, and there's a big trade right there. But let's just go back over and have a quick little look at what exactly is happening in the sort of the broader area here. It's 943 right now. This will give us a little bit of an idea of maybe where to look right now. So Eli Lilly down 0.6. The banks getting hit there. We've already looked at JP Morgan, Visa, MasterCard still getting hit there as we worry about, possible downside play there with the credit card interest rate being put into question by Mr. Trump. We do have $90.70 right now for Netflix, so that's nice. We recently dip bought some there into $90. That's a good one. Google is still $339, $340. That's going. There's Micron down finally there, and Intel up that 5.1% and doing really well there today. It's up 8% now?
No, I said AMD as well.
Oh, AMD as well. Yeah. AMD up 6.5. Yeah, they're going. That is for sure. Meta downside, Palantir downside. So a little bit of a mixed board to start with. Costco down as well. So yeah, that gives us what we're talking about here. We're going to go to Adair in a second. Nasdaq flat, ES flat. So right now, pretty flat on the broader market, but we got the banger here in Intel. We're just waiting to see if anything else starts to move around. ARM, the other trade. So we're going to go 1 for 2, but green today. This is pretty good. Back-to-back trades there for myself, but let's go see if Adair has a story for us.
Keep an eye here on META. This one obviously dropping quite a bit. We know we had the Reality Labs news about the layoffs heading into yesterday's close. Well, today I'm hearing some news. Apparently the company is seeking doubling of its AI Ray-Ban capacity to 20 million units in 2026. Also seeing reports suggesting that the company thinks that maybe these AI glass capacity could exceed 30 million units if there is demand. So again, these Ray-Ban AI glasses here for META, not helping the stock too much. Still in your day's lows. Back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Adair. Remember, I saw people putting in, why is this not loading? RVMD into the chat. Remember, there is some takeout and buyout speculation with this stock. That is not finalized. Not yet anyways, but I think that they are in late stages at least. So be headline, keep your ear to the ground. Obviously we have Adair here, so you're not going to miss anything as long as you're tuning in. But this was a lot higher on the initial speculation at 130. It's trying to fill in a little bit of that gap as we speak. Pretty thinly traded stock. So it's the kind of name, if there is news, like if there is some kind of an update on that deal, it's probably going to halt, just given how thinly traded it is. So silver, it's on trend, so we're gonna buy dip in front of the trend line, and this is, well, I like to say is called the blue sky setup. There's nowhere to look, there's no levels to play off of at all for silver, so there is nothing right now except for this trend line, and maybe if I see some big sellers in there, like someone sticks an offer, like an even dollar, like a 50 or a 75 on SLV as it is continuing to blast higher and higher. Let us know some of the small caps you guys are watching out there. We will try to keep track of them for sure. I have nothing that has halted or gone crazy just yet. There's this AHMA stock, but I didn't really.
Twice.
Yeah, but I don't see many people.
That's halted many times.
I have it twice.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. It halted 4 times, but this one's halted to the downside. It hasn't really held open for long enough that you could actually have been trading this outside of the pre-market. Up, halt, down, halt, down, halt. Looking like it's going to open flat, at least. 82% to the upside. These are the ones I stay away from, the ones that aren't trading at all. It's just going from halt to halt. If it can calm down, I think that looks a little more constructive for most of our traders.
I can't believe I missed that one. Stupid trade, but that's okay. Intel maybe will give it to us again. We're actually out of about 2/3 of the trade up there as we got higher than we had thought this was going to go anyways. So 46.40 right there. Nice trade for Intel. Yeah, just waiting to see if there's any other movement to be expected here today. Hopefully we do get something. Check back in on ARM. Not much going on. Check in on BBAI, a play that we had made yesterday, $6.20. I like the name, but ticking a little lower. Oh, Palantir. If you're going to talk about the mini Palantir here with Big Bear AI, but that's also down. Okay, so this is an exciting name right there. Spot gold right now hitting record highs. So GLD, as Neil's also in silver, as you guys can see. But
that tripped me up that nobody took gold, nobody took a semi. Nobody.
Well, that's why I was trying. I mean, I was trying to convince people that we should be going more. Even yesterday, I said we should do more than that many.
We can do like a quarterly. You know what would be interesting as well? Just thinking out loud, we can do one after earnings season is done. It's probably, forget about the quarters. You should do it at the end of earnings season if you're going to make any additions. All right. So I just saw someone stick it in there. Well, I just saw somebody I said that every quarter in 50s, I would look for sellers. Well, I just saw one at the 70, just above the 71 level at about 75. So I'm going to rebuy this one on the trend line, but it gave you like kind of the measured move. Like you go here, that's 80-20, and that's about 60 pennies. That breakout gives you about the same thing as well. So the range that it's breaking out from on the trend is exactly where I saw someone start to sell. So try to buy the dip on the trend line again on silver and see if this rally continues. As we're going to the desk.
No, we're going to talk right now quickly about Beta Pro. Savvy Canadian investors, thank you, Randy, looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100, S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3 times daily right here, featuring built-in FX hedging. This amplifies short-term exposure to these markets. So if you are an active and an aggressive and a sophisticated trader looking for that hedge with the Forex, please check out Beta Pro and go get them right now by scanning that QR code. You want to them for their continued support of Trader TV Live. I want to thank everybody else for supporting us as well. We are now 141 away from 550,000. So thank you to everybody again for your continued support. And we'll still be here as long as you guys are still here, okay? So that's a promise that we can give to you for sure. All right, so $1 in right now on Intel. Just going to scalp out a little bit more as it does come back up. We get a 25 fill there. We still want to try to hold for a bigger move. I mean, even though it's up 5%, the news is in our favor, right? And whenever that happens, we should hold it. But we'll take another out there at 29, and now we'll watch. We have U.S. home sales coming out as well, so that could spark right there, and there it goes, man. Let's take out one more. As there's Intel right now, your official dollar club, and we should be really dancing in the streets, but we did miss. And it's funny because Create Space there in the chat early asked me, what am I bidding? And I said 45.20. It came in. We took a dip buy opportunity into that, and then it rip citied right there to the upside. Your number one trade idea written down right here. It didn't come in exactly to where we wanted it to, but enough to get us long and really create some nice opportunities there. So there goes Intel, and then a quick look at JP Morgan, and that one is really getting hit. And we called this one that this could possibly be the situation, and we did not want this one to get near that $300 mark. So that's really the area there as per that. And thank you, Mike PD Rider, for that comment right there. This man makes many, many comments, and we do appreciate everything there. Neil's got silver, we've got Intel, and so far, so good. So thank you, Mr. P. Rider. And I don't know, whatever you're looking at, put it in the chat, and we could have a look as well. Amazon also moving quite nicely.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
the market's pulling back. I'm surprised because the Nasdaq's pulling back in here. So my first thought was that the Mag 7 might be. There we go. No, yeah, just pull back, lost VWAP. Here's what's happened over on in the Nasdaq. I mean, I showed you guys the last out in silver. We'll look to go on trend. Nothing's changed. This is eerily, just kind of weird. So you've got the number at 8:30, and then we have a wick high at the open, almost identical, and breaking back underneath 26, and now underneath VWAP. This is a little bearish, everybody. A couple of topping tail candles, both at the 8:30 CPI number, and then at the open. If we lose this bid here, you could be looking for a bit of a reversal. I should double back on SMR. That was one of the only things, because if it's under 20 bucks, that's way under 20 bucks. So SMR does lose the $20 level, but we were looking at silver at that moment. Maybe I get a bounce and I can short VWAP on that sucker. But if the market's coming back in, then it's probably an opportunity to see if this trend is going to hold here in SLV. So we'll pull back into the pre-market highs. I guess that, yeah, the pre-market highs still, that'll be about 8E20, and we'll look for some kind of a dip buy and bounce play. Tesla's still languishing underneath the 450 level. It's trying to go, Tesla. Now you're getting some real support at 448 at least, looking a little bit better than it was before. Early was just looking for that one smash that would go right away, and it just absolutely did not. Now I'd rather be a little bit more patient. See it try to close, holding this area or holding over the 450 before jumping into that bad boy. So I guess it's going to be silver. You sort of stick with what's working. It's pulling back into the trend line. We'll see if we can't pick that one up. As I see David's got another super chat.
Okay.
And all I saw was the first couple of words there, and Michael J. Fox's long-term buy and hold of the day. Biogen, did not know he was Canadian till last. You didn't? Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Michael J. Fox's Canadian. Back to the Future still wants that hoverboard.
The best.
You can buy the Casio. It's like there's like a Casio's making a Back to the Future, or they made a Back to the Future edition watch. I suppose maybe it was the one worn by Marty. I have no idea. Somebody sent it to me.
Okay.
It's the one that had the calculator on it. Remember?
Yeah. Casio. It's a Casio.
Physical keys.
Yeah.
Buttons, I should say.
I think we all had one of those at one point. But yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That was a legit
Some of those
watch.
things are getting sold for very high. The Kardashians or whatever were buying the Pee Wee Herman bikes and things like that. There's so many different things that people
I don't know
are
about
grabbing.
Pee Wee Herman though.
No, I think I think it's just something that's going up in value. I don't know. As collectibles are definitely a thing.
Yeah, that guy was
What's
a
up,
problem.
Andre? There it goes, man. Yeah, there goes Intel. Just an absolute banger. And I mean, look, guys, this is what I'm doing and why I'm sitting in these stocks and why we keep talking about it. You don't need many trades, right? I mean, yesterday I traded 4 names, went 3 and 1. Today, Intel is right there. Sure, we'll lose on ARM, but we'll make that up tenfold with Intel. So far, so good right there as we get to the day's high again. I said we were going to wait for this. So we actually still have on board about a quarter of this trade. So far, so good. Yeah, we do know there is mic static issues. I don't, we haven't really been able to figure that part out yet. All right, so I am looking to get longer here, or longa, into this place, the Nasdaq right now. As we start to head a little lower, I'm bidding 90s. I believe it's 90s, 91s, right? Okay, so I don't want to miss this like I did Intel a little bit there. So I'll buy some 96s there. I am bidding 91s. So we'll pay for a little bit there right now on the dip down. But we are waiting for the 200 period to cut. How come I get Andre coming over here and you get Ramin coming over here? Like, I feel like I got the short end of the stick there. But here comes the TQs. Right back there to the upside, coming in again. 56.20s would be a good out for me on the Nasdaq, but we do go long in what is another open position for me right there. And here it goes, man. Let's go to the upside right now. If we can get some 03s, we'll take a little bit about that. And then there it goes up here into VWAP. We just bounced off of that. We'll see if we can get it. And then we'll look for a little bit of a higher take right now. $1.25 in the money on the Nasdaq, on Intel. And there it is right there. A nice little win so far on the TQQs. So we'll just wait on this one. If this drops 55, 60s, then I'm going to get out. I don't know really why I'm using that. It's right here on the 200 period moving average. So we're going to wait to see if the TQs can keep on going. So yeah, we do have numbers coming out at 10 a.m. Housing
starts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have housing starts in about 3 minutes and 138 away from 550,000 subscribers. I want to thank every single one of you for getting us to that milestone. Always looking for bigger and better. But as we said, numbers in about 3 minutes. I don't expect it to move much. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I don't expect it to move much of anything with those housing starts. If you are paying attention, Open Doors at a pretty key price, losing $7. That's been a big level for the stock. I wouldn't wonder if it ends up staying bearish. This losing the 50 period is probably a little bit of a trade, but I'm going to stay away from that. Boeing is at least settled down here after making a fresh high, 52-week high. I don't want to say all-time high. It's trying to hold that VWAP. The first time, like, it's basically wicking like $1 or $2 at a time around. Now it's a little bit more condensed. If you can put a little bit of a green candle in there where you can have reasonable risk off VWAP, I'll look to rejoin that. I'm back in silver on the trend line, but I showed you guys that already. Let's see if Boeing can give you a little bit of green. Nice order from Delta. I don't love the lower highs that we're seeing, so it has to show me some kind of a bounce. Even just, well, I can actually almost draw a trend now. Even just re-breaking this trend line might be the way to go, as this is looking a little bit weak. And I don't think the futures just keep bouncing off exactly.
Yeah, we have the numbers coming, so I don't.
And with the number coming, I might wait till the back end of the number, like after 10 o'clock, to take a second look at Boeing over there. And Tesla's still under 450. Nothing doing with that stock. It's been incredibly disappointing for Tesla. Toby is asking about that DVLT. I hope for your sake it's over $1 again. It is not.
It will not be.
Nah. DVLT still, oh, it's up today. Yeah, okay, it's up today. Actually bottomed out at 83 and trying to make that battle back. Now, this one had a really, really rough day losing that $1 level. How about that for a punch? You could have just shorted this at 99 cents. Now, I'll stay. Penny stocks the day after they lose the dollar, that's really not my cup of tea. So 2 minutes until we have the housing starts, I believe it is, that's coming out. Take the dip buy that we're able to get on silver. This one never gave you a chance unless you were trading it before 8 o'clock to play off of yesterday's high. So just join the trend where you can. If it sells at the exact same place as before, which is right around 80.80 and that 75 marker, I'll probably jump out and then just play the trend again because I had to step away from the trend line a little bit here.
All right, man, 1 minute and 20 seconds until we get new home sales. Oh, no, sorry, it's, I was just looking at it actually. Yeah, it is new home sales. New home sales for September. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to double check it.
I said housing starts, my bad.
Yeah, it's all good. And so we're just in this right now. I'm gonna give this a little bit of a rest. So my stop is right here at 55.59. If it does break below it, able to and willing to take that out. So I'm just going to put that stop. That stop didn't go out for some reason. So 55.59 right there. We'll stop out of the Nasdaq if that does hit. But we are now long at 92. And then we just dumped a little bit more of Intel as that's just up here again. So we're at the highs. So we do want to get out of these names if we can. So right now, Adara with happening now and your new home sales. Let's see if that can affect this market.
We're going to wait here for new home sales in 30 seconds. New home sales units, we're expecting 715,000, previous 800,000. New home sales change, expecting negative 10.6% here month over month. Previous was positive 20.5% month over month. So needless to say, we are expecting a bit here of a month over month decline when it comes to these new home sales. Usually best stocks to watch for this type of number are things like open door home sellers or potentially home builders, but more likely some of these home sales stocks. We obviously had CPI in the morning here. New home sales, 737,000, a little bit higher here than the 715,000 we were expecting. New home sales, a little bit or change month over month here. Bit better than expected, negative 0.1% versus negative 10.6% expected. So again, negative 0.1% new home sales change versus negative 10.6% expected. 737,000 here is the actual print. This is coming off some well-received CPI today, both the core and both the core year-over-year and month-over-month CPI prints a little bit cooler than expected, though year-over-year and month-over-month non-core, both right in line with expectations. Here's the Nasdaq doing some very rangy action here. This pre-market high of 629 halves more or less, low here of 627, slightly higher low here for the QQQ. In addition to, of course, this economic data, we don't have any more today. We do have Fed's Musalem, who's set to start speaking right now at 10 a.m. Eastern, and at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, so in 2.5 hours from now, President Trump is scheduled to tour a Ford facility. So keep an eye on F, ticker F, at 12:30 p.m. You know me, I'll absolutely be covering this for you guys with vigor and zest. Let's talk here about AMD. Advanced Micro Devices, one of many semiconductor stocks getting a positive note from KeyBank. I think the most obvious here were AMD and Intel. They both were upgraded from sector weight to overweight by KeyBank, but KeyBank also issuing positive notes on NVIDIA and Micron. Meanwhile, other semiconductor stocks were downgraded by other analysts. That includes SMCI and also ARM. Now, we're going to take a look here at JP Morgan. This name reported earnings this morning. We know banks kick off the earnings season, and JP Morgan, the first bank to report this quarter. Having here Q4 EPS and sales above estimates, guiding roughly $95 billion here net interest income for 2026, excluding markets revenue. This was very well received. But investment banking fees did drop by 5% year over year this quarter. Get ready for Citigroup, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo tomorrow morning. Before we send you back to the guys, we'll take a moment to thank our friends at Oragenics. Millions of concussions, 0 approved therapies. Oragenics, trading on the NYSE as OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Oragenics is positioned to drive what comes next. See what's ahead and book a meeting today. Thank you to Oragenics, and let's go back here to Sean and Neil.
Thanks, Adara. Yeah, Joe right there is, can't believe his eyes here with Intel, and nor can I, but I think it was the #1 trade idea. Both of us talked about this earlier on. We chose Intel over AMD. It came within 2 pennies of getting a shit ton of shares, but we have enough to make this a big trade. So there it goes, Intel. But we did just lose the bid there on the TQ. So we talked about getting a little bit not as aggressive with it, so that's fine. But we do wind up losing there as it comes right into our level on that report. So there goes the Nasdaq. I don't think we need to get into this name anymore. The trend is definitely downside. So let's just sort of appreciate what's been happening right here so far today. There's only been one little bump up, and it was right there. I wanted to test this at the 200 period, which was right there at 70, and then we gave it 10 more cents right into these levels. So I think the Nasdaq is able to cover this all back up and get to where we were yesterday morning. So we'll see if we can get down about another $1 or so here on the TQQ. We tried the long, it just didn't hit. Good outs there. We got a 47 fill. I'm gonna take another fill right here at 73. Okay, we get it. And now we are very, very light into this Intel trade. We're under 10%. We're about 8% or so left. So there it goes, man. Nice downside target hit for Intel early. And taking advantage of that is for sure. So we just have to wait to see about this TQQ trade. Maybe we did get flushed there at a level that we like. I don't necessarily want to get back into it too hard, but we'll get back into it right now, and we'll just use whatever that local bottom is now. Because again, hard to trade, into a futures or into any sort of a play into a number. So let's go 55.50 right now. If that breaks, we'll get out. And just playing off of that little low bottom wick. Let's see what happens here as we get back into the TQs.
And pulled the reversal on silver. I haven't been doing this as much as I should, which is if you're playing on the trend line because I'm chasing the move, and reverse it once we break the trend line.
Boom, boom.
Look into this VWAP here if we can grab it. That'll be about 50 pennies, which we're getting on the upside. So I think the range is still staying the same. You go with 50 on the breakout, looking for 50 into the volume weighted average price. All right, suddenly there's another trend break, which is on tap for me, and that's going to be SMR. SMR is now bottoming out through yesterday's low. It's only down 1%. But when I see that trend like this off the open, where it's that clean and we're at that support line, I'm going to look for a break back upside here. Maybe you can get the VWAP and I'd look short again. But for now, the trade on SMR, there hasn't been much, is going to have to be this trend break. It's about 1950. If he can do it in the next 3-minute candle, that'll be the next on my radar after the reversal in silver. Was able to get it halfway to VWAP. We'll see if it can take out the other half. But first trade on SMR, potentially, if it can just get another couple pennies in here and break out this local high, SMR. We have a Fed's Musalim?
Yeah.
Musalim speaking, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Keep ear to the ground. Adara will keep us updated.
Fed Muslim. Yeah, if I hear anything, I'll let you guys know, as will Adara. But bang, bang, and bang. Yes. So, we are now positive, well positive now on the futures trade right here, as I'm now waiting for 95s, and then we'll see. You know what? I'm going to cancel and put a little less upside right here. Get something out right now if we can in the low 90s and see if this one wants to continue upside. Sometimes, holding it into the number can be risky. We got taken out on that, but then we still didn't mind the long, so we'll take that against that level right there. So that worked out. Will it work out long time here? I'm not sure, but it was a good re-entry there. Thank you, Vizbot, into that one, but I don't know if that's going to go. Vizbot is from Big Brother, I believe. So shout out to.
I'm not familiar with that.
Did you watch Big Brother?
I have watched Big Brother, but I don't watch it. Like
I haven't watched it.
I think I watched one season.
I haven't watched it in 10 years
ago.
But yeah, Vizbot, I believe.
It was a long time ago.
That's from Big Brother. So okay, yeah, I haven't watched it in decades. That's for sure.
If I told you,
probably about a decade. All right, Adara's got something for us.
I had to watch Big Brother for school. Perks of doing an art specialist. I do want to talk here, though, about Fed's Muslims comments. That's why I'm here. Because Fed's Muslim actually being a little bit dovish here, certainly open-minded, saying that policy is well-positioned to balance risks on both sides, that he thinks policy is right around neutral, and that today's CPI print is, quote, encouraging for views that it will converge more towards 2% this year. So basically, Fed's Muslim liking the CPI print and liking what it means for inflation this year going forward. Back to you.
all right, Muslim.
Yeah, Muslim there. Intel is now $2 in the money. It just elevated out of nowhere right there. Wow. Still to have 10% is still good enough, man. So we'll get another piece out right here if we can on that move. I was literally just looked over and was like, what in the? So that's a good little move there. We'll take out a 30, and then we'll put something near that high of 40 again, and then we'll have to just let it cook. I mean, it's already cooking. Right now, 5% left only on that one. And then another out in this 90 area, as that is our 21 period moving average. So trying to take some out there. Generally speaking, we'd like to see a 50 period or a VWAP break to really have some continuality to this trade, and maybe even a break longer if you want to punch longer if it breaks this 56.20 mark, because then you'll have support from down here. But yeah, unless and until some bigger names like a Tesla or like an Apple or something get going right now, then we're going to have to sort of wait on all of that. And we also do know, as Adair has covered it, JP Morgan, not oopsies, that's the Canadian one. JP Morgan right here, not having the greatest day as predicted, but that's okay. That's what happens on banks. So another one for Adara. Let's go see what she's up to again.
So I said that Muslim was being a little bit dovish. Then he made this comment, quote, "I see little reason for further easing of policy in the near term." So even though he says that, the CPI is a good look, he still doesn't see any need to cut rates right now. So Feds Muslim kind of tampering any optimism in his comments by saying that he's not ready to cut currently. He also said that materializing job market risks or faster fall in inflation might make cuts more appropriate. So again, if we see more issues here with jobs or a larger fall here for inflation, that's going to make more sense for cuts. At this point, sure, the CPI print was good, but he doesn't really see a massive rush to cut currently. Back to you.
It is deciding, at least for now, to resume underneath the pre-market lows. I hop back in on silver because we actually end up closing a second bar underneath the trend line. So it got out break even the first time because I just did like a snap reverse when it was breaking the trend. Instead of just getting out of the long, I reversed into the short. But I'll give it to the prior bar, so give it a little bit more standard on SLV and see if we get into VWAP. Tesla is doing way better now. Now we're actually going to close a bar above that 450 level. Of course, it's not an Amex stock like SLV is. Let's give it a second. So last time we just took a straight breakout. Said after the open, let's see it hold on to the volume weighted average price. This is the candle that did it. Looks like I'll now look for a dip into 449 is going to be the key. SMR took the reversion shot. This one just sort of set up out of nowhere. It wasn't moving before. But if we break the prior bar, which is the low of the day, I'm out. It either goes to VWAP or breaks if it breaks under the low. Give it a couple of pennies under the low because it happens to be a round number, and I don't like stopping out at like 39. So I'll give it just slightly underneath that low of the day on SMR. But Tesla's suddenly looking a little bit stronger than it was before. I want to see actual closes above. You want to see higher highs and higher lows generally, but where the resistance is, if you can start closing candles above that, looking a little bit better for Tesla. It's a weak market-ish, so you want to be sure that we've caught the other end of this like tail on Tesla. Muslim's still going on and yapping a little bit here, but he hasn't really moved the market much. We were topping out regardless.
Yeah. I'm okay with him talking, but I mean, it's not helping really our futures position. Oh, we do take another piece out. Like we have less than 5%, so now we have 3% left right now. So we'll put the money in our pocket there. And here's one last average in. I mean, we were able to get it all back there on the futures. It does fall right back in here on the TQs into this level again. So we'll see if it does want to give us a little bit of a scalp. At this point, I think it's worth taking. So we're long right here at 63 and our out is 50s. So looks like we are pushing the low end right now of the Nasdaq. So where was my stop again? Oh, 50, yeah. So, okay. Not that much risk I want to put on right now into a falling area for the Nasdaq. So let's be very, very patient there. We can check out if NVIDIA's doing anything. That's trying to hold near the bottom. AMD, I think, has reversed. Yes, so AMD does. Okay, so AMD gets that area that we talked about, man, right there, 222, like literally, and then falls right back in. So that was almost textbook right there on advanced micro devices. So yeah, we're just going to wait for the futures, and hopefully the TQQs can continue the upside. We do get a 68 fill there, but we need a little bit more than that, obviously, and let's see if we can get it. Here goes the Nasdaq near day's low, and the ES as well, man. This is the Japanese yen dropping the lows, and also JP Morgan continues to get hit here as well. So not a great start to the market today as we hit the skid a little bit, but Tesla's breaking out to day's high, 451 on Tesla.
But let me ask you this. everybody, Sean and everybody, if someone handed you $1.25 million to trade, would your process change or just your upside? That's the opportunity that Funded Futures Network provides. They're a futures prop firm that gives traders access to large sim and live funded accounts every day. They've already paid millions to traders around the world with fast same-day and daily payouts. And now the evaluation accounts are 50% off temporarily. Buy one, get one free, no activation fees. You can find the link below in the description or scan the QR code you see out in front of you today. Shout out to Funded Futures Network there. As you said, Tesla is trying to break out. Tried grabbing the bottom tail of this, we'll call it that 450 reversal candle. You've definitely broken trend. The original breakout at 450, like you can see, it went to $0.50, lost to $0.50, that kind of a deal. But I'm looking for this to hold on to said volume weighted average price. SMR has yet to run the high, unfortunately. Yeah, it's still holding. I mean, it did the trend break, a bit of a reversal, and it's holding the low for now, but this needs to get back up and break through the volume weighted average price to look a little bit better. Boeing, thank goodness. All right, so we didn't get trapped on the way down there in Boeing, and suddenly this looks a heck of a lot better. Now we've got an actual trend line with Boeing to try to join in. So it's very, very close. Tesla did get the fill in front of the 450. I bid 25 instead of 22s. I always bid 22s. I don't know why. But now we get a breakout of a trend here, holding above VWAP potentially on Boeing. But I'm going to want confirmation of this because, like, overall, like, you're looking at the Nasdaq, and I know the Nasdaq's holding up much better, but the ES lost 7,000. I really don't love that. Like, we just lost a bit underneath 7,000 on the ES, and that's the overnight low. Let me just zoom in so you can see better. And that's the overnight lows as well. So you do have the S&P weaker than the Nasdaq. I mean, some of that's probably going to be due to possibly like the banks and some other sectors. So Tesla bouncing, but I really want this one entry into Boeing if we can break this trend, and then I put my stop here underneath 243. That'll be the next trade for me almost certainly here. Boeing with that delta, hopefully bounce up 1.5%. Should have made that pick, but that's now a Dara's pick again this year and already starting off pretty well.
Yep.
We repeat picks. We had a couple overlaps last year.
Yeah. It's yeah, he could have picked it if he wanted to, but he likes the other names better.
You know what? It wasn't just that. It also did come down to like the theme did feel like take more shot play. So I went down my list and took something that I thought had just more upside. Obviously, it's got more risk too with CRISPR. I mean, way more risk in CRISPR than Boeing. That's not even a comparison, but I just felt like it had more explosive upside in the chart, and that's all. And that's the whole thing. Like
the idea behind
aspect of it, you have to start looking at, okay, well, what did everybody else pick? I'm going to need way more upside. Like bro's got Citus to the short side, like that thing.
He's already disqualified, but yeah, the whole.
That's a level of downside / upside, which is you got to pick something that'll compete. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I looked at it, I chose Big Bear AI, but I looked at it as these are the 3 best plays for me for the year. I think that was sort of the purpose for me of the event. But yeah, we're all going to like our picks until they're no good, and then we'll discuss them again. And as Joe said, he was going to take Rich Tech Robotics, so I don't want to. I want to see that name blow up as well. I want to see all of our names continue to go higher. Ramin took Netflix, which I think was, again, a play that I like, but that's only been going down today again. We're not going to look at these stocks, obviously, completely on a daily basis or anything like that, but there goes Netflix down into this low. Until we get settled with Warner Brothers and stuff, this is still going to be an up and down kind of a day. We actually get a super chat about it. That was well-timed, I guess.
Very good timing.
Okay, so yes, I think, and I was just going to talk about that. 85, yeah. So here, let me look at, the problem is our daily chart does not reprice itself upon splits. So here we go on this. We're getting, our NASDAQ just keeps drifting lower. So we were able to get a little bit out, but looks like we'll take a hit. If that breaks 55.50, we're 7 cents away from that happening. Yes, those are the levels, right? I mean, I think that if you're looking to pick something up, you could, and everybody's time frame is going to be a little bit different. But, at the end of the day, if you're looking to buy some of this stock at 85, it looks pretty good right here at 89. And, not that any of us sitting on the bid are going to prop this thing up, but you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. It could bring this way, it could bring that way. So I would just, start to, and again, use the sort of the dollar cost averaging method on this one because it's fall from grace so far. If you had bought something, and I don't think, this is right when the split happened, and then the Warner Brothers news hit. And again, whenever you're part of a buyout or looking to do something like that, you are going to get hit, especially if you are the acquirer. You're going to get hit because you're taking a $80 billion, $70 billion, whatever the hit is there, and you always are overpaying to acquire something. So you're going to have to let that mature up right here. So I think that, 85, if you like the stock and you sort of don't maybe have exposure to it, then I would think in and around here is a decent spot. We do have to slap, I don't know how many winners you got over there, but for me right now, we only have Intel. So Intel is obviously a big one for me today, and I want to thank you guys for the support on that, but we do just right there. Thank you so much. Love, peace, war. It was, the GOAT is Brendan. We've already discussed that, but that was a good call on Intel. That is for sure. But there goes the futures to the downside. And there goes 47, just came in again. That went to 47.40. Let me take out another piece here on Intel at 03s. I thought we had an offer up there, but I guess we did not. So that's a big mistake there. We only have 4% left, so not much going on. But Nasdaq falling apart right now. Should have switched over to the short, initially once it broke right there, the 200, but I wanted to see if we could hold. We didn't. We're able to get some out. It's not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. So there goes the Nasdaq to the downside. Maybe flip over to a short. I just don't know if it's ready yet.
Before we go to Adara, I have to slap the absolute fail on the reload of the silver. I always have a rule about trend breaks, which is my out is the prior bar. I kind of never break from it. It broke the prior bar and it's absolutely tumbling. So the long, it's weird in that the long works and the short doesn't, and the short ends up actually being better, but you got to adhere to your stops. If there's a process that makes you make money over a longer period of time, then you got to stick to it even when it doesn't work out. And sometimes trend breaks are not clean. It is what it is. I don't want to chase this move. I'm obviously favoring the short after the trend break because there's a lot of gap to be filled in here, but I need to have a trade set up again. And once it does, if and when it does, then I can be all over it. We are going to Adara. Time to have a look at the small cap recap. It's already 10:20.
Yes, indeed it is. Let's talk here about EVTV. This is one of the biggest names in everyone's mind yesterday in the small cap space. Same catalyst today, no new catalyst, but basically Azio was set to merger with EVTV. Well, yesterday, Azio announces that they've received $170 million in government revenue and a $200 million pipeline here. So again, with EVTV, it's really the connection with Azio, which is set to merge with them. I want to talk here about XAIR. Speaking of these deals here, XPL Biopharmaceuticals. I guess this is part of XAir Beyond, which is the name of the company. Either way here, XPL Biopharmaceuticals acquiring 85% of Neuronos, which allows them to enter the autism market. Let's talk here last but not least about DCOY, Decoy Therapeutics, announcing funded development of global manufacturing platform for peptide conjugate antivirals. So this is going to be one of those biotech type plays. Market cap here, $7 million float. 6 million shares, short float just over 3%. So DCOY, XAIR, and EVTV once again here. That's going to be the small cap recap, guys. Back to you.
All right. I mean, I have a new position right here, and it's going to be Tesla. So we're going to sit. I mean, it was a really good stock until now it's not. So let's give this to 447.50 break, like right into here. I don't need to be part of all of this, so we'll average it in now as it comes right into 448. So that was a level, like when we took it there at the 200 period, and then again at basically on that breakthrough 449 again. So we'll take another fill right here. It looks like we could be out of this one real quick if this does fall down, but I wanted to get into a name that's been aggressive here lately that is on pullback. So might be giving this one not enough room. And I just don't want to give it all the way down here. Like we could get out at 447 and then 447.50 and then regroup this. I don't want to give it another dollar. You know, that's reasonable though. So if that's going to be your out, I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that. So let's give it a little bit of a minute here and a breath and see if it wants to work. We're long at 449, so giving this about $1.50 or so, well within reason there for me anyways for Tesla. And then like I said, man, maybe some of those small caps will give us a couple winners. I only got one, and that's on Intel right now. We took not a bath, but we got hit on ARM, which is crazy because there's our ARM short. But we got stopped at 111. It goes to 111.70. Now down to 108. We did like the 110 short. Maybe the break back down there at 110 would have been the trade to take. So we'll look at that again. But we're into Tesla right now. So the only winner for me here so far today is going to be INTC. And we just got lucky there as it bounced back into the 20s. So we able to take out some more. But position pending here with Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I only winner was the long silver. We lost on the short silver, lost on the SMR long, and lost on, well, we were 1 for 2 on Tesla. But the perspective is, add them up, and my single best winner yesterday, I had 4 yesterday, and they're underneath the best winner from yesterday. So regardless of how it's going, as long as you sort of keep your risk relative to how you make your money, like you make it, how you lose it, ideally, you'll be good to go. Boeing did make that breakout of the trend line, so this is the setup that we're with. This never gave you any, there was no dip buy to be had back into 238, so the plan of action was never going to get, never going to get held. I see a super chat. We have Moderna from long this. I can't remember the last time someone talked about Moderna. It's up 7% today, so you're only down, I didn't read this before, only down 85% since 2003. Yeah, that stock stinks. I don't know, I probably lost as much money on MindMed, so I feel you on that one. Yeah, I don't know why it's up 7% today, but yeah, that stock has not done well. You can't, sometimes those parabolic moves up in COVID, if you held all the way back in. I was in SI, believe it or not. Silvergate. Like I literally was in Silvergate, and I remember that I held like 10% of it for a decent chunk of the way back in. Finally was like, what am I doing with this stock? And sold it and put it into Coinbase. It wasn't even that much money. And then I think it was like maybe like 6 months later, there was no Silvergate. So, you know, at some point you got to give up on those. I feel you though. We've all been there. For me, one of those was actually MindMed. And that ended up selling, and then I think stupid stock bounced. Oh, MindMed.
Yeah. It's always those kind of stocks that are the problem. But
short plays require having some kind of an out on the back end of the trade.
Yes. That is for sure. The market is really coming in right now. So yeah, here goes Tesla. We didn't get out of it all, but it looks like we're going to get out of it all right now. As there it goes, breaking through. I thought it was supposed to be a 446 break there. Did it break there? It looks like it did. As I'm going to get back in because that might have been a little bit of a false break there on Tesla. Oh no. All right, oops, maybe it wasn't. All right, so 445 right now, 99 on, okay, here it goes. Okay, well, there it goes. Now we're breaking lower now on Tesla. So 445, yeah, I mean, the market is not stopping. So this name goes right back into the lows. Someone asked me, why are we looking at Tesla if we do have AMD pulling back as well? The whole market right now is pulling back. We should have done a little bit better on this trade, that's for sure, and we didn't. So there goes Tesla. Muslim is still talking. So more problems in Fedland right now, I guess, as we listen to them talk. But there we go, long at 446. That's basically a level that we're going to have to stop at. You know, it can't just keep on averaging this all in because this name could drop $10 at any time.
So down 3 points.
Yeah, and we had sort of thought that that was a possibility. 445 looks like that might be the very, very end of this Tesla trade. So let's see if we can get back to the upside right now. But yeah, JP Morgan warned everybody about that one. So I hope that some of you were able to get out yesterday or so. But yeah, bank earnings are always a tipsy-turvy situation. So all right, we'll see if Tesla can finally get back going, but they're going to need the futures, and right now they continue to fall lower. Maybe Google would be the better dip buy opportunity as well, as that name hits lows here as well. Or we just go short and stop dip buying because there might not be any more dip buys available. So 335, 334 for Google. Wow, yeah, that's a nice level. Came all the way back, makes all-time highs like it did yesterday, and then just gets hit right back in. So Google will have to see what it wants to do.
The market tanks like this. I looked over, I'm like, is this today on SNDK? The stock is chilling, making a higher low at VWAP. Like, seriously, this stock does not fall apart. Like, I'm always waiting for if it looks like it's going to be that day. I don't know if it's going to be today on SNDK. I would expect to be breaking even lower. Boeing broke prior low, but notice how it's still going sideways. So this long actually still might be valid. I'll just have to look for another mode of entry, possibly just holding VWAP, maybe getting a couple of greens in a row, something to be able to join the trend, or just take less, give a wider stop. That's at least a possibility. In terms of looking for a short, well, it kind of bungled the first short on the silver reversal. Well, it's at VWAP now. So if it can fail VWAP here, then I can find an entry underneath this 79.8 and maybe still play back into, prior day highs. You also have the 79 support. Like, there's a lot if this is the absolute turn. I'm just really surprised about SNDK. Like, why is it not falling? It's Micron's falling. So why is SanDisk, WD, Western Digital, WDC, if it'll ever load up, is also, no, this is actually strong. So the memory names are a bit split.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe it's not, I wanted this to be a little bit more clean. If they were all following, if they were all going down except for SNDK, I'd be more inclined to look at the catch-up play. But instead, I'd rather not try to short the relatively strong stock. That doesn't usually make a heck of a lot of sense.
No, we're back a little bit here on Tesla, but this is taking a while, man. Yeah, so can't celebrate it yet. We've chased it to the downside. We caught it a little bit. We'll get out right here at the past support. Past support could turn into resistance. So we do want to make sure that we do have something going for us. Let's put a 447 fill in here. Hopefully that will. Here, let's get out a little bit into the 80s if we can as well for a nice little bump up. It's now 50 cents, but looking for a little bit more as this can just drop it like it's been doing. This dropped basically $5. Not basically, did drop $6 all the way to the downside there in almost no stopping. So there is a catch-up possibility here in this name. So we'll see if it does get going there. It's going to be Tesla. We're going to sit on this trade for a minute and see if it does work. Like I said, I do have two outs, one at 447 flat right there, and then we'll go, maybe we can go up a little bit higher. I was going to wait for 447.50. So let's go to 447.75. for a little bit of shares there, and then we'll see. First go is breaking through 447, so hopefully that will happen there, and then we can get that good feels. Okay, there it is. I'm sitting there. Okay, good. Good feels back in on this trade for Tesla right now. You guys had mentioned, you guys mentioned AMD. I'd mentioned Google right there, so that's near a good level as well. I'm not going to go long Google and Palantir at the same time, and Tesla at the same time, but this looks pretty good. And then also, always on my mind, Palantir. That's near the lows as well. So Nasdaq getting hit today, man, pretty good, as is the ES, as bank stocks go lower. It's 10:30 right now, and JP Morgan can't seem to find a base yet, down to 314. But as expected, right there for JP Morgan, down 3% there off their earnings call.
So cashing strays too.
Yeah.
SoFi is catching, it's down 1%, but this is at least getting into another tradable area. Looking for things that set up. Yesterday's low here, 26 quarter. You go all the way back, you got 26, you got 25.8. So that was the dip buy zone. I wrote on my iPad, didn't think we'd get there, but we are now. So this is a clear trend. It's one of the only things that has a very clean trend the entire morning going into said low. So kind of SOP, standard operating procedure, break the trend line, play back into the volume weighted average price is the way that I'm going to approach this, which it is doing as we speak. It's already 10:30, which is wild. And this is the first time that I will, so just broke the prior bar. My stop is going at the low. This hasn't, technically this has not closed this candle. So whenever I get in early, the other half of the trade, I wait for it to close above the trend line, but the stop stays in the same place, regardless of the entry plan. Still going to give it to that prior bar low. Looking at the visualizer for the first time here today, there is this X-Air stock that is showing up here in the small cappers. Tesla, AMD, silver, we've talked about Meta, obviously Intel, Netflix, SoFi just grabbed. EVTV, we actually talked about that as well. But X-Air, which is Beyond Air, I feel like if you start it with Beyond, you're just cursing yourself, but that's fine. Beyond Meat as a short could have been anybody's pick yesterday. Probably free money. This one is more ham than any dollar break that we've seen recently. It's past literally everything. Like Candy Maldonado's throwing it through everything. This stock has gone through pretty much the entirety of the gap and then some, and looks like a bit of a habitual offender in terms of big gap ups and just rinsing people. So be a little bit careful. This doesn't seem like an overly good chase here at these levels. Maybe you can consolidate and break 3 a little bit later. And keep in mind, this is exactly the kind of stock that'll drop an offering on people and rug pull you. But good breakout just feels like a very dangerous chase up here, because that's a huge chop zone between 210 and 275, and that's exactly the zone you're entering into right now. So SoFi, bit of a trend break here. I have to redraw this because I didn't save it before. So once we close this bar, then I'll try to add more and look for the pull back into the volume-weighted average price. Travman for real, habitual script flipper. Yeah, that's what they do. Every once in a while, we do find a small cap stock that doesn't look like complete you-know-what on a daily chart, but we show it to you because most of them teach you the lesson of taking a profit. I was just talking about that with MindMed when I didn't. And someone said, oh, you got gotcha'd by whomever, the hype around the stock. No, I mean, I gotcha'd myself by not taking it out on the way back in. The same way you should have a stop, you can have a trailing stop. So when you get that initial pop, you don't let it go all the way back to 0 on those small cappers. Everyone usually does it once at some point in their life. It doesn't mean it's a good thing.
447, no. I mean, you got to have discipline and have outs, and that's what we're doing here as day traders. And we might have had the wrong out on Tesla, but it got me out of it, and we could regroup completely right now. You know what? Now that it's right here, let's get something out at 25. Okay, so we're taking that out there. I'm still waiting for 75s. That's good. Okay. Okay. Hello. Money. Okay, that was a good one. Nice move right there. We're having another one of these days, guys. So let's keep the good vibes going. Let's go over to Adara right now as Tesla right now. We had a $2 winner on a $40 name. Now we have a $2 winner on a $440 name. This is a wild market. Let's go back over to Adara.
Sorry, I think Fabian's adjusting stuff, so I can just wait. Oh, hi. Let's talk here about MA. Sorry, I was confused there. MasterCard and Visa. We're going to take a look at this here as we do have Don Thune, part of the Senate here, saying that he is not necessarily supporting this credit card rate cap and that it could make many lose credit access, saying, quote, I am not advocating for a credit card interest rate cap. Back to you.
Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily going to get a ton of support. Like, ultimately, it ends up like what the argument will be made is that you're effectively doing price controls, right? Because that's what it works out to. Just very quickly, we got halfway to VWAP on SoFi. So took some out there at first resistance at 40. Going to look for VWAP. Did not get the add. It didn't really give me a chance to add in this candle here. So we'll end up with half of what we wanted. Let's throw that super chat up back again if we can. Kada Shay. The Meta sale is still on, boys. It's not too late to stack up. Love y'all. Good trading, everyone. Shout out to you. Thank you for that super chat. Yeah, I 100% agree. The big difference is it finally did something off of this 50-period moving average. Unfortunately, the answer was lose it. And when it loses it, I think you get back into 600. That's a nice little buy zone. It just, when you've been riding the 50 like this, I at least think initially the first look is continuation to the downside a little bit more. I don't think you have to be too early on this. Like, why not a little closer to the 580 and 600 level where we already bounced here on Meta? Or you could just wait till closer to earnings. That's another way to play. Danny's boy, we got another super chat here about Roblox. Looks like Roblox clashed the check for all your Christmas gift cards. Yeah, usually this is a good time of the year for Roblox, but this has been in need of a bounce, everybody, in a big way. Beginning absolutely smoked, and it's now looking a little bit better. I've been waiting for a spot, not for myself, but my daughter. I said to my daughter, you can 1% of her education investment account. Pick something, and then we can put 1% if I think it's reasonable. And the two things she said were the two things she uses the most that are public, which is Roblox and Duolingo, which I immediately said, well, we're not buying Duolingo, sweetheart. So I'll wait for a good entry in Roblox because that's at least reasonable. No, it's Duolingo has been an absolute, how do I say this nicely? It stinks. Let's leave it at that. My charts are a little bit slow, but Duolingo actually made another fresh 52-week low today. So I wasn't even meaning to point that out. It was just a coincidence. So I'm with you. Maybe we'll be adding that at some point this month because it's looking a little bit better in Roblox, but certainly not that Duo. We got another super chat. So number 3, Girl Dad. Yes, to all the girl dads out there, best traders in the space. You guys have a great new year, and we crush it together this year. Thank you very much, Girl Dad. We appreciate you for sure. Got about 20 minutes to go in here. The bounce is trying to go. I'm just looking for the first time that we get the VWAP retrace on one of these reversals. We're halfway there, but we're not there just yet. Did we even talk about Bitcoin?
After, no.
Bitcoin,
93,000, yeah, it's on one right now. After having 2 boys, it was very nice to have a girl. So I'm with you on Girl Dad there. Now we have a girl cat, a girl dog, and the rest is history in the Katina household. Edible.
So this is, I'm not never.
Edible.
So just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Is there like a behavioral difference? Do you notice the difference between like if you have like a girl dog or cat?
No.
Versus
not really. No. I mean, it's different in the way you interact with them because like a girl, maybe you feel more, I don't know, like when they screw up, I don't know. For me, I'm biased because like my daughter can almost do no wrong. So I feel like I just like equate that to the dog as well and to the cat, right? But no, Guido the pug was a special pug, and Belle the cockapoo is equally as special. Yeah, Guido was amazing, and then now we have a cat that we rescued.
Every time I think of Guido running around our trading floor.
Yeah, Guido has an Instagram.
He would literally, and probably should have had the cables cleaned up more when he was running back there, but nothing bad ever happened. But the poker night at our old trader, their new office.
There it is.
The layout of their office, including the way they've set up the desk, completely identical to the campus office. Like everything about the layout is almost identical.
Good.
It felt like going into a time machine.
Here's Guido. Here's Guido. Right. So this is like my daughter, who's now 13 or 11, and there's her walking Guido. This is Guido. I mean, this is him as a puppy. He was just so sweet. He has his own. There's Gia right now, who is now 11 years old. Here he is trying to get into our house and everything. There's my daughter again with him. This is Guido the pug. He had 1 tooth sticking out like there. What's going on, Guido? There's my cat, William. He loved his cats. But this is Guido the pug. There's Baxter, so young, and my other son right there as well. So this is Guido the pug who has passed. So, yeah, shout out again to Guido there as we go into the profile. Just check it out. I put the sticky notes on here. Anything that Ramin does, we try to keep in on this page as well. So redoing all that kind of stuff. I don't know who this guy is, someone named Randy, I guess, right there. But yeah, lots of fun money tree. Here's my kids right there at the Blue Jays World Series. Here's my brother. He and I had a Leafs game as well. There's baseball. Anyways, I was like, there's girl. Hey, we're talking about Girl Dad right there. So shout out to all the girl dads, and thank you for the continued damn support of the show right now. But oh, Canada. Of course, Tesla, I just got the note that my car is charged up now downstairs, and there it goes right now, Tesla to the moon right now. Guess what, man? We are now positive on Tesla, position pending, of course. Let's get out another piece on this one. We'll take that out right now at 440, and there it goes, man. Tesla now positive. Top 2 stocks today, Intel and Tesla for me. We're going to finally be 2 and 2 there today. I know it's been tough sledding, as we've talked about, to find winners, but we got one here on Tesla. It took a minute. Bitcoin's a great one as well. Let's go over to Adara. It's 1040.
As you guys know here, Powell is being mentioned again by U.S. President Trump, who is saying, quote, Powell doesn't do a very good job. Now we actually have more comments here as well. We're going to bring it right to the sectors with finance, because as I mentioned here, we had John Thune of the Senate saying that You know, he does not support this credit card rate cap that has been proposed by President Trump. Now, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying that they would need legislation in order to pass U.S. President Trump's credit rate cap. That being said, the fear of this credit rate cap sending certain stocks like Visa and MasterCard to the downside. It is worth noting these names, of course, reacted on this news when it was day one of the reaction yesterday, but they actually kind of pushed up and rebounded from a lot of that weakness. Looks like they're selling off today. JP Morgan also selling off, though. It actually is a little bit higher than its low of day. A bit of a rebound here after its earnings. Again, tomorrow we're going to get more banks, including Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup before the bell. Consumer services also pretty weak here with RCL sharply to the downside. Health services to the downside. Commercial services, communications to the downside, and technology services, Google having another strong day after a couple positive catalysts yesterday with Apple and Walmart. Other than that, though, the sector's pretty beat up. Microsoft and Meta both down more than 2% each. CRM and Adobe also to the downside. Electronic tech does have a couple bright spots, namely Intel and AMD. In case people are wondering why these are running, it's because they both were upgraded by KeyBank from sector weight to overweight. Energy minerals strong, utilities strong, producer manufacturing strong, and consumer non-durables also strong here, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much there, Adara. As always, appreciate you. I just saw someone in the chat saying something about an IPO. Adara, I just messaged you if you could double check, because I think there was one that priced today. I don't think opens until tomorrow. It's like GD. If we can maybe just confirm that GCDT. It's relatively insane.
It opened.
Anyways, is it open?
Yeah, man. It's halted.
GCT.
CDT. Yeah, it's open right here. So it's open right now and actively trading. Oh, it's on the Amex.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Why can't I find this stock?
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, it's Amex. Okay.
Yeah, I should have said that there. So I saw it get called up as well. Then I just got, so thanks for covering it, because I just noticed there wasn't much volume on it, and I kind of left it alone. So yeah, this is known as GCDT.
Green Circle Decarbonized Technology Limited.
That's it. So there it is, GCDT. So thanks for bringing that to our attention here.
Where did they come up
An IPO opening up there, Green Circle. So there you go. Nice move, and congratulations if you were able to dip by that.
Incredibly small.
Not dip by, sorry. Yeah, I know. Grab the IPO price. There's only really been like 2 candles of volume here, right? And so even now that it's open, it's not doing anything. We do have Tesla with $3. So right now, guys, we're 3 in the money on Tesla and $1.50 on Intel. So far, so good. What up, Adara?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I was looking here for any other IPOs. There are going to be a couple next week, but in terms of this week, the only one I'm seeing right now is, other than this one today, is going to be tomorrow. It's a special acquisition corp hitting the market at $10, though. That's all it is.
That one's a decent size, 2.8 mil. Sorry, 280 million, I should say, that SPAC. That being said, if you're trading SPACs, it's a very, very different trade because it's pre-deal. So what you're actually doing is it's going to open, effectively, they're all priced at $10, every single one. And a really, really good one, you might get like 1030 or 1040. That was the best one I saw in the last year was actually the Chamath one. It opened at like 15 and went to like 30s. A lot of them, you might just get long at 1001 or 1002 and make 2 or 3 cents. It's very, very tight inside trading until they have some kind of a business combination. And unfortunately, every time I want to fade one, we don't get locates on SPACs. I guess makes some sense. I don't know. We never get locates on them.
All right. Nice day trade on Tesla. Thank you so much. I also do see something here. And yeah, there it is. Thanks to Dara for your report there. Caught SPY on the downside. And thank you to me, I guess. Daily goal hit for the week. There you go, man. Keep that money in your pocket. That's the important thing there. Took advice on going bigger on plays. Exactly. So you're not here to joke around, right? You want to make a little bit of money there. So congratulations once you got it figured out. Go for it. All right. So ARM. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Man, ARM. We wrote down 110, man. We gave this thing $1. We should have given it $1.50. Up to 111.50, but you know, I know we're going to get that super chat in a minute, but these are the plays that I had scheduled out today, and you know, no doubt, man, the #1 play here, it's not even close. Intel on the day, there it goes, man. The Intel 45 long, the Google long doesn't hit at 331, but obviously Google long hit. There's our ARM short, and then the TQs just kept on falling, and that will be my only. Well, look, we're going to go red on ARM, but the, you know, the real red real redness of the day for me is this trade. That's the only one that we're going to wind up significantly red on. And then here goes Tesla. That's a nice little upside play. But I thought, okay, there we go. We get 450s right there. So yes, sir. Yes. $4 right now on Tesla long. One of the best stocks for me in 2025. One of the best stocks on the show then for that one. But we've taken baths on this as well. So be careful. Was there a super chat or did we get it?
I think we got.
Okay, we got it. Okay, all good then. Yeah, let's just
actually no. That's we did miss it.
Ooh, Kodak.
Minnesota trader. Really, Kodak.
Okay.
Are you saying insider buying alert because there was insider buying?
I guess
or is
so,
that,
yeah.
Are we just joking about that? Like, we can look for news on Kodak. I can't imagine. It's only up 3%. It doesn't do a heck of a lot of volume. Yeah, nothing really happening on it. I will double check myself because I feel like Dara looks like she's focused right now. I don't know what the catalyst is supposed to be. I don't see anything in terms of news for Kodak. But if you're just sort of joking around with the insider buying because you happen to like it, good luck. That's all I got to say. I'm out of SoFi. We got half the move into the volume weighted average price, but then it broke trend back in. And ultimately, you know, I want to get to VWAP, but I'm not going to ignore what I see in the chart, which is that it's heading back in. So it gave you the trend break, but no longer looking that strong. Don't mind a rejoin if we can double bottom or so. But if you look at what's happened the last couple of days, or at least yesterday, once it got going, SoFi was either making very, very distinct higher lows in the morning, or it was like one bottom to rule them all, and then it would just go. So if it's not going to do what it did yesterday, I need to see it start patterning these distinct higher lows, and that just hasn't happened yet. So it's just a matter of being patient. You know, waiting for those patient setups is what it's all about there. And then, of course, remember, what you risk on a trade is what you need to make more than what you risk on it at the end of the day. So try to make sure you keep those apples to said apples.
All right, let's just keep on going there. What's up, Mike Peter Ryder? He loves Lord of the Rings. That's really, really good. Yeah, Tesla might be a short up here. We have emptied out a little bit. We got the low of the day right into the 200 period moving average there. So, yeah, I don't know, Chuck of all trades, again, thank you so much for all the kind comments there. It's great to see some traders following what Neil and I are doing. So that is great. All right, so Tesla right there does drop off of that 450. I'm still going to wait, man. I'm still going to try to see if this wants to retest back down here, and I'll get some more. I'm not going to drop any more. This could fall back in. We did get a lot out in this area, man. In between the 50 period, VWAP, and the 200. I mean, these are levels, right? I mean, that's why we're monitoring those ones. So so far so good there on that. Shopify, Tesla, Qualcomm, Apple. Apple today on a move. We can check out some Robinhood as well. So this is what Apple's doing, absolutely nothing. Robinhood on bank weakness today, although obviously not a bank, not even close to a bank. Robinhood downside there, and I think the one that's getting hit the most against JP Morgan would be SoFi. SoFi down 1% right there when they have nothing to do with anything. They're January 30th, so we still do have a couple weeks before we get SoFi report. Obviously, they are a bank and getting hit there today as JP Morgan. If it slows down, it's probably going to be a buy, and so there it is right there, taking out the 50-period moving average. I think JP Morgan's a buy now that it's been washed out a little bit, so watch out for 315 hold there on JPM. Yeah, the miss for me was just getting out of ARM, because there's the short and there's the stop out. But as we said, man, you can't be a disciplined trader and not have an out. That broke our 111 area. We got out, and then boom goes the dynamite to the downside. So we really, you know, the futures was bad. That's not recovered, but you know, it could be a much bigger day than it is if we had just held on to that ARM trade. But hey, man, you can't have it all. There it is, 30,000 shares right there at 85. So we do get a downside pressure point here for ARM holdings. All right, it's 10:51. We'll get what's for lunch when we get back from Adara.
Really nice consolidation here on the US dollar daily chart. Again, as I mentioned a while ago, trying to base out on Christmas Eve this half-day session here on December 24th from that 97 halves level. Now we're pushing here and attempting to break out that 99.3s. Now this was a level of resistance going back to early December. We tried to break above this over the last 2 days. Let's see if third time's the charm and if we get a push above that 99.3 for the USD. I do have to talk about economic data because that was one of the biggest catalysts, not just for the US dollar or for the economic standpoint, but for the market as a whole today. CPI coming out. Now, it is worth noting, CPI month over month and year over year actually in line with the estimates, but the core prints, a little cooler than expected. Core CPI year over year, 2.6% versus 2.7% expected. Core CPI month over month for December, 0.2% versus 0.3% expected. You can find this infographic on X at TTV Research if you want to look at all these numbers with a bit more detail, including the prior prints. But one thing I do want to say as well before I let you guys go is tomorrow we get PPI, but unlike this CPI print from today, which is for December, PPI is going to be for October and November. So it's quite a bit delayed. So keep that in mind, again, for tomorrow's Producer Price Index print, which we will give to you right live at 8:30 a.m. with Brendo and Sharif. Back to you. Do make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, thank you, Dara. And like that CPI did end up being a bit of a head fake. And we've seen this before. Anytime you have a breakout on an 830 number, the open, like wherever level you get to, it's almost like some Fed numbers can be the same thing too. When you get to that same spot, if it rejects the second time, you can go trend down. I probably wish I'd sniffed it out. Did try to reverse and fail on silver, but it is what it is. Got to be able to move on. So the higher low has, at least for now, come in. So if SoFi is not going to just ramp job one time, then I want to see if it can just start putting in higher lows on the way to VWAP and a potential breakout like it did 2 sessions ago. So play this one into VWAP is going to still be the plan, but the out is no longer low of the day. It's just going to be the prior bar on this move as we continue to go and go and go. Commodity King, KWeb, I'm telling you this thing can fly. Well, 100p yesterday, Alibaba was absolutely nuts. I don't even know what some of these drop downs are. Okay, there we go, the AM. Apparently there's something DB for KWeb. But this is on the Amex. Alibaba was an absolute rocket ship. It made a monster trend break on the daily chart for Alibaba. Trust me, I'll get there in a quick little second. But KWeb did something similar. And obviously, Alibaba's going to be a big holding there. But KWeb with a big trend break. I like Baba better because I think you get way more juice for this move. But there's your trend break trying to continue. Alibaba just a little bit more explosive when it broke that trend. I'm biased because I own Alibaba, but I think it's also clearly better on this trend break on the daily. 180 incoming for this bad boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, we are loving Alibaba right there. But this is now $5. What's up, Jose? We won't hit the thing 5 times, but there goes Tesla. It took us a minute to get this one, but once we did, man, it is an absolute banger as we turn positive there on Tesla. We did the same thing yesterday with Google as we had to fight it all the way back in. But you're clearly not here for the trading. You're here to find out what is for lunch. Let's go over here, Joe, and figure out what's for lunch. Today we have, that's Sharif. What's up, Sharif? Thought it was Joe there for a second. Today we will have a positive experience, Rob, so don't worry about this. Today's lunch has a Spanish flag attached to it. So any guesses? We've had this many times. It is right. Sharif gets it right there. It's a face slapper. It is paella.
It wasn't that.
So we have chicken. Yeah, last time I think it was a little dry. Last time it was a little dry. But Tesla's more than making up for this. We have Spanish-style ratatouille with tomato, zucchini, peppers. So that's nice as a little side with the chicken paella. Garlic sautéed green beans. We like green beans around here, that is for sure. And then cucumber salad with spiced mint yogurt. That's a face slapper. That is your lunch of the day here at Trader TV Live. It is chicken paella. Everybody. So, there it is, man. We like that one. And the ratatouille with tomato, zucchini peppers. Okay. So that should be good, man. We will have a great time with that one. And I'm just going to let Tesla continue to run, man. My next out is 451.75. Let's see if we can get back to the day's high here on TSLA. Spanish chicken paella, not tilapia paella. So there it is, man. Nice move to the high side. We've got the bangers today, and we're going to be green, and it was a good day, so not too bad there. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's 10:56.
Yeah, 7 minutes to go. We did get to VWAP on SoFi, so there was a reload. We wait for the trend break. We kind of get out here when it loses that upward momentum, then it bottom tail wicks. We get out at VWAP, just going to look for the next available trade. I'm kind of following the pattern here on SoFi from this day 2 days ago, lower highs, break, and then just buy the dip until it does something distinctly different. So I think we're on the other end of the trade. So just going to look for those types of entries, right, where I can get in, throw a stop, get in, throw a stop, see if we can play a little bit higher. VWAP is just a line in a chart. The next dip doesn't need to be above the volume weighted average price. It could easily just put in any kind of a higher low, as long as you want to hold that trend line. Hopefully, sometimes it is clean. I just don't want to be chasing the move. I don't want to be too early where I have to then sort of fight it on the way back in. But SoFi looking much better. Caught some strays. I think a lot of it probably has to do with JPM. It helps that JP Morgan is bottomed out. So the one thing I will look for, if I'm buying the dip on SoFi, I don't want JP Morgan to be breaking the low of the day. Like if this is still losing the bid, then even if SoFi is setting up, I'm not going to be as much of a fan of it there. So we're going to try and see if we can get some clean entries on that thing one more time. Just sort of stick with what is working, and right now SoFi is the one that's in the clean trend for me.
All right, guys, join in just a couple of seconds. You're going to join Sharif. You're going to join a much more handsome version of myself with Joey coming through as well. So get ready to rock and roll. Joe, we've got 550 right now in the money on Tesla. So that's going to be a good one right there. 451 right now on TSLA, as that's a banger. $1.30 on Intel. And again, guys, thanks so much for watching. It's been one hell of a show there. Although, like I was saying, man, just a few winning trades, but a lot of good talks. And I hope that you guys have had a green morning. And if it's a red one, hopefully it's not extreme into that center of the universe. Financials today down, right? Down on Berkshire, down on JP Morgan, down on MasterCard, down on Visa, right? Like, thanks a lot, Jamie Dimon, as we get punched in the face today in the financial sector on what was, of course, a double beat. And then there goes Tesla, by the way, guys. We are now just rocketing up 451.50, man. We almost get our 451.75 on that one. A good sector today, XOM and energy, right? XOM up 2% here as some Iran news. Hopefully some de-escalation there as we already sort of know the situation. Trying to refine that oil means Valero is the true winner in this space. So watch out for some good talk about Valero moving forward, if not already. Nice to see CVX getting its legs under it as well. All right, man. Great day here, and thanks again for watching. I'm going to go hit the pool, and hopefully Tesla continues its upside momentum.
And keep in mind, I don't know. I know there's a Ford and Trump thing going on, so keep in mind that is happening today. Adara will keep you abreast of any news.
12:30 scheduled with Trump. It could always be later.
Well, that's sort of the thing. Like, I think what we found is a lot of these meetings and whatnot is just like a loose time. But all throughout lunchtime, you're probably going to expect to see potential movement in Ford. I don't want to say it's going to move for sure, but yes, Ford CEO and the President Trump will be meeting today, 12:30 tentatively speaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably more like 1 o'clock. And we're 102 away, so we didn't quite get there for the morning show, but I feel pretty secure that we're going to get there today. Thank you for getting us to potentially 550,000 subs. We are going to enjoy our paella.
Yes, we are.
Hopefully it's up to Costanza standards, which would be a good thing. And we'll throw you guys to the midday. It's Joe and Sharif. Go get them.